Hello everybody and welcome! Today I am checking out a custom card expansion. I don't know if there's a name for this expansion, but this is by someone named Filip. They reached out to me in email and said, hey, I have this custom card expansion, if you ever want to check it out. And I said, sure, I'll check it out. I love looking at cards and giving my thoughts on them. So I'm going to just read through the cards, give some thoughts in the context. This is less about like, unless there's like a glaring issue where I think a card is like super busted, I'll give like small initial suggestions that I might have, but this is mostly about like looking at the cards and seeing where these cards would ought to be played and those general thoughts on it. I don't know if there's a workshop link for this. I'm going to send an email to ask, and if there is, I'll put it in the video description. But why don't we check it out here with our first card, which is the Guardian, Ludwig von Stromberg. He's a 4/3/3/1, soaks for 6 and 8, and he's a veteran, like our good friend Mark Harrigan. You may commit skill cards from your discard pile to skill tests your location. If you do, remove the committed card from the game instead of discarding it, limit once per round. So this is actually very similar to a custom investigator I made, which was based on me, because we made one for Travis, Bryn, and myself that I don't think have seen the light of day outside of our Patreon channel. But it's a very similar sort of thing. Elder Sign effect is +2. After this test ends, return a skill card from your discard pile to your hand. Deck building is Guardian 0-5, Neutral 0-5, up to 10 level 0-3 practiced and or innate skills from any other class. You begin the game with 5 additional experience, which can only be spent on skill cards. Okay, so it's a little bonus XP to start. And then his signatures are just 1 copy of each of these. Into the Fray, 2-cost event. Fast, play only during your turn. Until the end of the round, each time you commit a skill card to a fight or evade test against an enemy, resolve the effects of the successful test twice. I mean, that is really good for fighting enemies. That's a pretty powerful signature event. As it should be. I think signature events, like signature cards, especially if they are like one-use events, they should be notably pretty powerful. That is a very powerful effect. Army of the Dead, put Army of the Dead into the threat area. You cannot commit cards to skill tests. When any amount of damage will be placed on your investigator card, place twice that many and discard Army of the Dead. Okay. That is a pretty painful effect. I'm just thinking of ways that you can choose to trigger it. You can play Blood Eclipse. You can play Guard Dog level 2 and like initiate an attack against you. Are there other cards where you have to, like toe to toe? Like, I think like effects that you can like choose to take damage make this a lot more viable, right? Just an attack of opportunity. Yep. Our upkeep, draw Army of the Dead, Mythos, draw Grasping Hands with your foot. Painkillers, yeah, Painkillers and Smoking Pipe. Like, I think with this card, you want to, like, be able to build around it, right? Like, you want to have, like, at least, like, 2 cards in your deck that you can use to trigger Army of the Dead in some way. More is good, probably. So, you might not know this about me, but I am what we call a skill slinger. I love throwing skills and committing them to tests. I think this is pretty neat from a Guardian standpoint. There is some Guardian skills that care about this kind of stuff. Like Helping Hand shows that, like, if there was a third class that's cared about skills, like on the tertiary level, it would be the Guardians. So while my design of this was Survivor, mostly because it was me, right, and I'm Survivor main, it fits for the Guardian class. I like the stat line. I like the stat line because it's, you know, the idea is that you're using your skills to boost your things and you're committing your skills a lot. The deck building, I wish it was less. So the thing is, I wish it was more, right? Like, I wish it was just like up to 10 level 0-3 skills from any class, from any other class, right? Just because I would, even though it does the same thing, right? Where it's like, because it is very similar, right? Like so many skills are practiced and are innate. However, it's this mental thing. If you make it 0 to 3 any skills, it eats less like of Amanda's and Silas's pie just on the basis of not being trait based, right? Like it's a mental thing. And a lot of design is actually like mental and how the design comes across. So while practice and innate is all, like pretty much all of them, I would rather it be just to have that thing where I look at this and like it makes me think this is just another Silas or Amanda. Where if it was just skills, it would be this is another investigator that cares about skills. I think the ability is good. Like I think the ability is pretty solid. Doubling up on skills is a powerful thing, and like it removing them from the game is really nice. I wish his Elder Sign effect. I'd be curious to see how it would play. After this test ends, return a skill card removed from the game. Or like to your hand, right? Like I think that might be like too powerful. Or if it was like it's like Silas's where you may commit a skill card removed from the game. If you do, put it on the bottom of your deck instead of your discard pile, right? Or like remove it from the game again. I think that would be a little bit more interesting. However, I think this is a nice, well-rounded design, and I think it's pretty neat. All right. Kirill Tatarov, the Cartographer, 4-3-2-3, a veteran and a wayfarer, 6-8 for soak. As a reaction after your turn begins, choose a reveal location. That location either gets -1 shroud or +1 shroud until the end of the turn. Interesting. So, before we go any further, a great thing that a player card can do is make you think, why would I want to do that? And why would I want to get +1 shroud? Let's see the rest of his kit. There's like stuff. There's like crack the case, right? And like small things like that. That's very interesting. I wonder if he's going to have some survivor in his kit as well. We're going to find out, aren't we? He screams survivor on this front design, doesn't he? Elder Sign effect +X, where X is the difference between your location's printed shroud value and the current shroud value. Interesting. All right. Seeker. Level 0 to 5, neutral 0 to 5, up to 10 level rogue and or mystic cards. Okay, so no survivor, which is interesting. Guided by Spirits of Fiends of the Night for the signatures. Guided by Spirits is a fast 1-cost event. It's a spell. Choose a real location and play. The chosen location gets -2 or +2 shroud value until the end of the round. Remove Guided by Spirits from the game. Interesting. Until the end of the round, that is a powerful effect. Fiends of the Night, 3-4X. X is the shroud value of your location. After you evade Fiends of the Night, discard it. Yeah. Well, we have what, 3 foot? So we could get rid of him ourselves too. We also have Mystic, so we could just play Promise of Power. Okay. So why would I want to put the Shroud up? Like, putting the Shroud down is easy, right? Like, I feel like he's missing Survivor, right? Because I feel like that's the main reason you'd want to put it up, apart from like Crack the Case. Am I missing some cards? That's why I like also doing this live. Because what are some cards that care about high shroud value besides Crack the Case, right? Like that's what I was saying, like Survivor cards, because they care about that stuff, right? Like they care about failing, or like failing by a certain number. Because I think at this point now, I don't know why I would ever do the +1. Testing Sprint. Testing Sprint is the one where you test every location, right? I'd still want to have mine be lower though, probably, right? Unless it's like the one I want to do last, because there's no clues on it. That could be a case for it. And so, but it's still the end of the round, so like it could help other people. Like until the end of the round is very powerful. Actually, just looking at the end of the round, that's a very powerful effect too. The one Guiding Stones where I see the high shroud test. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's like, yeah, it is, but I think we can all agree that's probably not enough to want to make it higher. Interesting. Maybe there's some cards here in his set, so why don't we hold some judgment on Kirill until we get there. Alright. Necro Toaster, 6 months, the golden table. I'm feeling much better. Thank you. Thank you. Alright. Monica Moretti. 3414. Criminal Performer, soaks for 5 and 9. As a reaction, after you play an event, take 1 direct horror. Play that event again as if it was in your hand. After the event resolves, remove it from the game. This is a simple effect. It's powerful. Is the songstress a word? Is Cthulhu a word? We can make up words as creators. Isn't that crazy? We have the power to do so. That event resolves, remove it from the game. Elder Sign effect +1. So just draw 3 cards of your deck for an event and draw it. Shuffle your deck. Rogue 0 to 5. Survivor 0 to 2. Neutral 0 to 5. No weapon cards. That's okay. I had 1 fist anyway. I wasn't going to do anything with it. I mean, I lose the British Bulldog, but that's okay. Underworld Harmony, Allegro of Shadows. So Underworld Harmony, 2-cost event. It's a song. Play only if there are no enemies at your location. Heal 3 horror until the end of the round. Investigators and non-elite enemies cannot move. So I'm assuming you don't pay the cost. The cost is the take 1 direct horror. So this, you could just like heal 6 horror. That seems pretty good. This is like what you hold until that happens. The only problem is, I mean, what's our brain? 3. So we're still like, we're not as weak to rotting remains as other people are, but it's just something we need to be aware of when it comes to it. Allegro of Shadows. It's a madness for the top card in counter deck if his enemies spawn and engage with you. Otherwise, take 1 horror and shuffle Allegro of Shadows back into your deck. Yucky. Ouchie. Reads like you do play the cost to me. Pay the cost. Interesting. Alright, well, we'll check it out again. Otherwise, take 1 horror and shuffle Allegro Shadows back into your deck. That's pretty neat. I mean, it's simple. I like it because it's simple. I don't really know what the flavor of it is supposed to be, but, like, how is double double worded? Great question. Let's check it out. Double double. Play at event as if you're in your hand. Okay, so you probably do play the cost, right? Because it actually is worded the exact same. So I think we just assume then, yeah, you do have to pay the cost again. Because with double double, you pay the cost, right? I mean, it's been a while since I played that card, but I'm pretty sure you do. So then, yes, you do. Because it's the exact same wording as double double. Okay. I mean, that's good. Like, doubling up on events is still good. Like, having a 1 per game, like 1 per round double-double printed on your investigator card is a very powerful effect. Rogue has a lot of economy to get there. I think this has been an investigator that's probably likely to be pretty busted. Even more busted. I mean, less busted because you have to pay for it, right? But, like, you just double up a Faustian bargain and you're, like, golden, right? She probably should have less horror to balance it, maybe, but she does seem pretty tough. Like, pretty, like, tough to not be broken, right? Like, she seems pretty strong. It's neat. I like the design, and I think it fits very well for, like, an event-based rogue, which we actually really, like, haven't seen since... I mean, we actually just saw one with Alessandra. What am I talking about? We just saw an event-based rogue in Alessandra, but, like, it's nice to explore that a little bit more. She's also a non-Preston, green 5, red 2. She is. She is. Alright. Victor Kane, the Surrealist. 4-4. No! Not another 4-4 Mystic. Please! No! 4-4-1-3. No! We had a chance! We had a chance! Anyway, he's an artist and he soaks for 7 and 7. After an asset controlled by an investigator location leaves play, just draw 2 cards or discover 1 clue to your location. That's a cool ability. Elder Sign effect is +1. Choose a mystic card in your discard pile and return it to your hand. I like that. That's a nice Elder Sign. Asset controlled by an investigator location leaves play. Draw 2 cards or discover 1 clue to your location. That's a very powerful effect, especially in Mystics. Mystics 0 to 5. Insights 0 to 3. There's a lot of insights. For the Seeker, Ancient Stone 1 cared about High Shroud? Yes. But that's the thing, right? Like, we mentioned that, right? But, like, it doesn't, like, that doesn't move the needle on terms of the Mystic's High Shroud design. It just doesn't, right? It's not enough for, at least me, at least until we see the player cards. That's why I said I'm going to hold it, because I think right now, putting it up +1 is a mistake, right? Is like, why would I ever put it up 1 when I can just, like, leave it down? I feel like if you had Survivor in his pool, there's a reason for it. But right now, not so much. All right, let's see these guys' signatures. Otherworldly Inspiration. Someone has used this card, or I have used this art before in one of my games. But I've seen this art before, and it might have been on an actual card that someone else has done, but this art is familiar. So is this one. 1 cost event, Otherworldly Inspiration. It's a spirit, fast, Victor Kane deck only. Play when asset control leaves play. Search your deck for another copy of that asset and draw it, shuffle your deck. That's a cool card. I like that. No neutral cards on this one? No neutral cards on this one. That is interesting. That is interesting. Oh, God. Memory loss. Alternate title, man who doesn't know what turning Super Saiyan is and is scared of it. Discard an asset you control with the highest printed cost and take 2 direct horror. If no asset discarded by this effect, shuffle memory loss back into your deck. Well, you do get to draw 2 cards or discover a clue at your location. I think that this is nice. I think that that's a cool card. It gives me kind of like shades of Abandoned and Alone. I think that's neat. This guy's neat. I think I'd want to try building a deck by him. I think he's really cool. What fan set is these? So these were emailed to me. So I actually don't have, like, there's no name. I don't know. This is just something made by Filip. And I'm going to message them and ask for more info that I can put in the video description. But unfortunately, I have no idea on name or anything like that. But I think this is a neat Mystic. I would have loved if he was, like, not a 4/4. But I think that he's still really cool. I mean, the insight makes sense for why he is 4/4. And I'm curious to see if the no neutrals was done on purpose. Because if it is, it's a neat... That's a neat concept. What the heck? Okay, I'll check that out after stream. Okay. The Survivor. All right, this is my favorite. 5 brain. Lady Scarlet, the poet. That's a cool investigator name. 5/4/1/3. 5/7 for Soak, Artist, and Drifter. Lightning Bolt. During your turn, choose and discard a card from your hand. Draw 1 card. Limit twice per round. Woo! Okay, that's a powerful effect. It's called Looting, and it's very good. It's very good. All right. Elder Sign effect. +1. After this test ends, you may shuffle any number of non-weakness cards from your hand into your deck, then draw that many cards. Well, she's just wheeling. She's looting and wheeling, and she has an incredible stat line. Like an absolutely goated stat line. Yes, she has more or less damage and horror than, like, is normal, I think. Because, like, normal is, like, 14, right? Because it's, like, 5/9 is the usual. Or, like, 6, or, like, 7/7. She only has 12, which I think is a fair balance for it. But, yeah, Survivor has Soak, like, a lot. Deck size 30, Survivor 0-5, Mystic 0-4. Okay, so what we're seeing is a normal 05 Guardian, Rogue Survivor, and we're seeing a normal 05 Survivor Mystic here, which is nice. Flickering Flame, Lady Scarlet deck only. After you discard a card from your hand during your turn, exhaust Flickering Flame, reduce the cost of the next card you play this turn by 1. Yucky. That's powerful. That is a powerful effect as well. And luckily, it'll be easy to find because we can draw 2 cards every turn. All right, but let's see a weakness. This weakness, I'm going to imagine is going to hurt. Because I actually have liked all of the weaknesses we've seen so far. I think they do a good job of hurting the everything. All right. Put Echoes of the Void into play in your threat area. If you have no cards remaining in your deck, place 1 resource on Echoes of the Void. If there's already a resource on it, you are defeated and suffer 1 mental trauma. Okay. I like it. I think that does do a good job of... the character is still very powerful, and I think the stats probably might need to change after some playtesting, I'd wager, because the stat line is very good. But this makes it so that you only can get through your deck twice. But you can, like, do a quantum flux, so you can do it 3 times, you could do it 4 times, right? I think that's a good way of working on it. I think all these investigators are really cool. I think that they're all simple and they all kind of get the job done. And I'm excited to see what synergies they may have with their card pools in this expansion, as well as let's just see what else we got. Because let's move on to our first Guardian card, which is Dog Protector. Everybody's favorite, Dog Protector. This is a 2-cost ally in the Guardian class. Ally creature soaks for 2 and 2. As a reaction, when any amount of damage and or horror is placed on Dog Protector, draw that many cards. This is really good, right? This is really powerful, especially for 2. This guy can give you 4 cards in a good world for 2 resources and an action and 4 soak. Probably should cost 3, right? I like it. I think the design is really neat. I think it's, like, incredibly playable. But I feel like it's just a little bit too good at 2 resource cost, right? Like, probably, like, 3. And also, like, yes, can you imagine this guy in frickin' Tommy Muldoon? We're all thinking it. We're all thinking it, chat. But I think, yeah, I think he's just a little bit undercosted. But it is a really cool card, and I want to play this in York. I want to play this in Tommy. And I agree with you, Beard. I do like how straightforward the cards are. I think that this designer is definitely going for, like, a less is more approach and kind of, like, saying, here is this Dog Protector, and think about where you want to play it. Because I play this in Daniela. I think, like, this card is, like, very powerful. There are so many homes that I think would want this card. I think you could play this in even just, like, I play this in Mark Harrigan, draw 2 cards, right? Really great. Very powerful card. I think it should probably cost 3. I think it's very comparable to Guard Dog, and it should probably live in the same world as them. Great card, though. I think the design's really nice. Pierce Law, the Good Planner. This is a 1-cost ally asset. It's an ally and detective, soaks for 2 and 1. As a reaction, when you play a Guardian event during your first action, exhaust Pierce Law, reduce that event's cost by 2. And then the flavor, okay, Joe, now this is how we do it. Because it's Joe. Yeah, this is a very good card. I think as well, this is probably just like a little bit cheap in terms of like cost into effect, right? Like this guy to me seems very similar to in the same space that What's His Nuts. The guy who reduces costs of items, Esquire or whatever his name, I don't know his name. Because Beard didn't make us. I know Beard didn't make a Arkham Incidents scenario about him, so his name is gone. Charles Ross, yes, thank you. And like it's a similar kind of space. It's a very powerful effect, but I think that honestly it should be pretty powerful in terms of where he should live in the deck that you're going to play him. Because like most Guardians are still just going to play like Guard Dog, or I mean like Beat Cop, right? Or like a Greta Wagner, because those cards are more powerful. Probably could cost 2. I think like he could cost the amount that he's going to reduce by, but the effect is really nice. Works with Scene of the Crime. It's a powerful effect, but like I said, I think that an effect like this should be more powerful, because even if you're playing a Scene of the Crime deck, odds are you're probably going to want to play like Beat Cop, right? Even if you are an event deck, you're going to want to play the thing that deals damage or gives you the thing, because realistically Guardians aren't as tight on economy as they were earlier on. So I think that while the effect's powerful, I think like this guy's not crazy undercosted. Again, I just like the Dog Protector. I'd probably bump him up by 1. I'd love to see him in, I mean, I wouldn't actually love to see him in Joe, because he kind of does the same thing that Joe does, but I like the flavor text to Joe. Reconnaissance Sweep. This is a 1-cost asset. Talent. As a lightning bolt, exhaust Reconnaissance Sweep. Choose a non-elite enemy or location. That enemy gets -1 fight until the end of this turn. Yeah, this probably also should cost more. I think we might, now that we've seen 3 cards, I feel like if you add like +1, even like, because this is essentially magnifying glass for fighting. So maybe, let's be real, maybe it actually is fair at 1, because magnifying glass is costing 1 and is fast, and this is 1 and isn't fast. So maybe this actually is completely balanced, right? Because it is actually just magnifying glass, right? But I'd probably put this at 2. I think the effect is nice. I would play this effect in a heartbeat. These cards are very spiky, and I like that. I like that they're all very powerful. They might just be like a little bit too powerful. Yeah. But this is basically just magnifying glass, isn't it? I mean, I love me a magnifying glass. I'm always happy when I draw it. It's just that good. I also could see, yeah, supplies on this card would be a good thing about it, right? Yeah. 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 I like the design, right? You can do it on another player's turn. Yeah, you definitely could. I like that because it's kind of like, it'd be fun to play this in Carson, too. It's like, here, go, you do better. I like it. All right, the Winchester M97 shotgun. This is a 3-cost item, weapon, firearm, asset that takes up 2 hand slots. Uses 5 ammo. Spend 1 ammo. Fight. You get +3 fists for this attack. If the attack is successful, instead of standard damage, this attack deals 1 damage to each enemy at your location. Any additional damage is dealt to the attacked enemy. Yeah? So, like, if you live in a magical Christmas land where this card is always popping off, this is probably, like, it probably seems too good, right? But when you live in a world where you draw 1 enemy and this is your only weapon, you're just getting +3 and still just dealing 1 damage. So, like, this is definitely, like, campaign tech, right? You bring it to, like, Forgotten Age, and you bring it to, like, Dream Eaters. And honestly, also Hemlock. I think this is another thing that could live in Hemlock, too. Even Edge of the Earth. Maybe not. But yeah, I like this card. I think it's pretty good for, like, a tech weapon. I would not play this card, like, in any other situation unless I was teching against a campaign. So, I think that's a good card for that. Yeah, I like it. A Tesla pistol. 4-cost, item, weapon, firearm, asset, takes up a hand slot, uses 2 ammo, replenish 1 of these ammos at the start of each round. Spend 1 ammo, fight, you get +2 fists for this attack, and this attack deals +1 damage. I think this is too strong. No science trait, yeah, I probably should have the science trait too, huh? That'd be fun. It should. Honestly, I think the science trait is too strong. It would be great for this. But sorry, I was going back to my first point. This is a pretty powerful effect, huh? I think this card is probably too strong. This would probably cost some experience. Because this is essentially a baby runic axe, right? So you should probably have some experience in it to make it match that. I mean, with the level 4, so the level 0 runic axe, on its baseline, you can spend 2 of its charges to get +3 and deal +1 damage. But it takes up 2 hand slots and costs the same? Does runic axe cost 4 or does it cost 5? I don't know, I just feel like this is a tiny, just a touch too strong. Yeah, it's just like, it should be like, honestly. Yeah, just compared to the level 0 runic axe, I think that this is like, outclasses it completely. And you just like, yeah, it should probably be like 1 or 2 experience. I don't think it needs like a crazy amount of experience. But like it should probably be a little bit. I like it though. I like the design once again because it's powerful, but I think that like the balance of it needs a little bit of tweaking for sure. All right, face your fears. A 0-cost Spirit Bolt action. Play only as your first action. Engage any number of enemies at your location. For each enemy engaged this way, you can discard a non-weakness treachery from your threat area. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. That's cool. I like it. I like this. It's great tech. I would bring this the frick to Circle Undone. I think that this is an awesome card. I love it as a rogue, you know? You double action engage. Like, so, you know, you just play it as your first action. And you get rid of, like, your Frozen in Fear. I think this is an awesome card. It probably, yeah, I don't think it'd be crazy if it costed 2 because it would synergize with, what's his nuts. At the same time, I also don't think I'd play this in any other deck without him if it was 2. Because I feel like, me spending 2 for an engage action, yes, it gets rid of my... Like, maybe it could cost 1, so you still get some reduction, and then it's kind of like in the Ward Protection level, right? But I agree, it would feel nice, like, if there was, like, that, like, it rhymes, if it also costs 2 to balance with what's-his-nuts. Pierce Law, I think his name was. I like this card a lot, though. I think I really like that one. Alright, a quick break. This is a 2-cost event, it's a Spirit. Play only if there are no enemies at your location. For each damage on you, draw 1 card to a maximum of 4. Yeah. I'd play this in decks where I'm going to take damage. I don't, like, play a lot of those decks, but the effect is really nice. I think everything about it is pretty fair, right? I think it's a good card. You want to have at least, like, 3 damage on you, I think. If you have 4 damage on you, like, I'd be looking at doing that. But it's very easy to get damage on you with, like, an In the Thick of It, right? So then this card is very easy to activate. I like it. I think it's a cool card. I don't have much to say. Like, once again, most of these are all pretty simple. And they just kind of, like, live in good places. So I think this one's pretty sick. I think, honestly, no notes on this one. I think this one's just a cool card. All right. Unhindered Advance. This is a 4-cost event. Tactic and Bold. Play only as your first action. Choose an investigate location. During the next round, the chosen investigator may take 3 additional basic actions during their turn. For each skill test they fail during that turn, you must take 1 horror. So you can choose yourself. Works well with Carson. They're all basic actions. But those are like, you know, like this also could just be like a draw, right? Like just draw 3. I don't know how much I'd play this card though. I don't like the memory issues associated with it either. That's always I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. Just because I think memory issues. Another thing to remember at the table can do a lot to cause some chaos. But I like the design. I like the design a lot. I like that it's also 2 brain symbols, so it's like a guts, worst case. I like the design, but I don't think I'd ever play a card like this. Tactical Assessment. Practiced. Commits for a brain, a book, and a fist. Max 1 committed per skill test. If this test is successful, draw 1 card for each enemy and play to a maximum of 2. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Amanda's going crazy. Amanda's going brrr with this one. I'll go first. I'm going to just commit this, and I'm going to just investigate and draw a bunch of cards, right? This should be per enemy at this location. I don't, maybe. I don't know. Because I feel like the flavor of it is that you can, like, assess the whole board, because, like, you are doing the tactical assessment, even though your character is, it's also you. I think it works fine for draw 1 card for each enemy in play. Because realistically, most of the time, like, if you're playing 2 players, this is probably going to draw 1 card. If you're playing 3 players, it might draw 2. If you're playing 4, it'll commonly draw 2. And I think that's pretty fair for how it scales up. Yeah. I like it. I like it. I'd play it. I would try it in Amanda. I would, and then I'd probably cut it because, like, Perception's just better. Protected by Faith. This is an innate blessed skill. Commits for innate. All right, we're going to focus on Silas here, as I always do. If I see an innate skill, that's not a survivor card. Fist, Foot, and Wild. If this test is successful during an attack or evasion attempt against an enemy, put Protected by Faith into your play area. As a reaction, when you take damage and or horror from an enemy attack, discard Protected by Faith, cancel 1 damage or horror from that attack. Alright, I probably wouldn't play this in Silas. I actually is incredibly playable in Silas, but I probably wouldn't because I'm a crazy person and I just assume I'll never die. I like it. I like it. I like it in Daniela, too. I think that this is a really good card for a lot of people. I think the design on this card is actually pretty incredible. This seems really good with the box investigator, too. Because you play this, you have it protect you, and then you commit it again from your discard pile. I think this is a very powerful card for level 0. Not in the sense that like it's like broken or anything, but just that like it's very efficient and very value focused, and I think that that's really nice, and the icons on it are incredible. I like it. I like the card quite a bit. Alright, on to the experienced Guardian cards. Tactical Overwatch. This is a 0 cost, 1 experience, talent asset. Limit 1 per investigator. After an enemy moves, exhaust Tactical Overwatch, draw a card, and gain a resource. That's really cool. That is a really fun effect. Yeah, you could probably have the tactic trait. I don't think the skill needs to have the tactic, but this probably should have the tactic trait as well. I understand not wanting to put too many things on there, right? I probably, again, I agree with you, Beard, that I would probably put this up a resource or 2. Because it just seems like really good. However, I like this a lot. It's neat, and it's also kind of gives you a reason to keep things alive, right? And that's kind of interesting. If there's like a reason to keep enemies in play, I think that's really interesting. So I think I give this one a big thumbs up. I think if it was like 2 experience, I could see the 0 cost. I think like it should either be like 2 cost in level 1 or like 0 cost in level 2. I like it. I like it. I think it's neat. I think it's neat, and I'd play with it. It's just value. But again, it's just value, so it really like makes me going. Makes my brain go, yay. Alright, Covering Fire. This is a 3 cost talent in the Guardian class. It's an asset, 1 experience, level 1 per investigator. When investigate location or connect location initiates a fight or evade action, exhaust Covering Fire. That investigator gets +2 skill value of this test. If this test fails, the performing investigator takes 1 damage. This probably should say when another investigator at your location or connected location initiates a fight evade action. I don't like using this to just get guts or like a manual dex every turn. This probably should say when another. Like, I understand the idea is that it becomes when it becomes one of those things. It's like that. This is also a large amount of slotless assets. I mean, in all fairness, what slot would this take, right? Like, what slot would these take? I don't think there's any that I'm like, this probably should be a slot. I think that's more on the designers not having a slot that's like a star, you know, like a talent slot, which I think would have been interesting for sure. Yeah, I think right now, this is probably better if it was another investigator. Alright, Sheriff Hawthorne, counting days until retirement. This is a 2 cost, 2 experience ally. It's a police, soaks for 2 and 2. You get +1 brain. After defeat an enemy, exhaust Sheriff Hawthorne, gain X resources where X that enemy's print and health value. Yeah. I think this guy's nice and legit. I think a lot of Guardians would want to play him. I want to play this in like all my Lily Chen decks. Like, this would go hard in my Lily decks. It might be a little bit out of pie. Out of the color pie for Guardians. but Guardian and Rogues are kind of adjacent in some ways. Like, every class is kind of adjacent to another class. It's not like Magic where, like, you're adjacent to the cards around your circle. There's really no, like, well, around your pie. There's no pie, really, for this one. But I love it. I think it's a great card. I like it. No notes, no thoughts. Just no thoughts other than, yes, this is fun. Ah, the upgraded Tesla pistol. It's going to somehow get better. Let's see. All right. 4 cost, uses 3 ammo, replenish 1 of this ammo at the start of each round. Spend 1 ammo, fight, you get +2 fist for this attack and deal +1 damage. Spend 2 ammo, you get +3 fist for this attack and deal +2 damage. Okay, so if like the level 0 Tesla pistol was 2 experience, and this was 4 experience, now we're talking, right? I think that's pretty good. This is a pretty powerful effect for 2 experience, just like the other one was a pretty powerful effect for 0 experience. I do like the idea behind this. It also replenishes the ammo slower than I mean, maybe it's like 1 and 3, but at the same time, right? Like, I mean, you do only get, but there's our cards that replenish your ammo on it as well. I don't know. Maybe like 1 and 3. It's just like, I don't know, it just feels like maybe I'm crazy and I haven't play tested it and I actually would miss like the ammo when it goes down. But I feel like you just like have another weapon, right? Or you just play like 2 Tesla pistols. Like, maybe if they were unique, I could see a reason to have it be like this, right? Like, I think that would be a bit, maybe fit a bit better. Like, maybe Tesla only made 1 pistol, right? I like the thought process. I would just need to play test with it, you know? Yeah, multiple 3 damage attacks should be pretty premium. I agree. I think like 3, like I said, I think like probably like 1 and 3 are like for experience levels for each of them are probably pretty fair, and then also make them unique on top of it. Because right now I just look at this card and the numbers are so good, but maybe when you get it in practice, you actually do miss the ammo, because a big reason why people play Runic Axe is to get the thing that charges 2 different charges on it each turn. So maybe you feel it more than you think. But it is only 1 hand, so you can just hold something else. I'm curious. I might have to try some play testing with it. But it just, the numbers seem really good. If I'm just like looking at it just like top down in a vacuum looking at the numbers. Time Roller, how's it going? All right, Lucky Strike. This is a funny card. I already like it with the art. This is a fortune event. 1 cost, 2 experience, fast. Play when a non-elite enemy engages you. Test foot X, where X is that enemy's evade value. If you succeed, discard that enemy. Then take horror equal to that enemy's horror value. Maybe it wanted to kill itself. That's really funny. Yeah. I feel like the only problem with this card is take direct horror. No, someone else was driving the car. I think the only problem with this card is that, like the upgraded dodge, there's really not a great home for it, you know? I think that's the only issue with this card. Because I love it. I mean, I played in Lily, right? The card draw dog was driving the car. That's really funny. Dog protector, you killed the Night Gaunt. I think the effect is powerful, right? Skid cards, yeah, if Skid could play it. I think that's kind of the issue, right? I like this card. I think this is actually probably one of my favorites I've seen so far from this. All right, next up we got Sword Dance. This is a 3 cost, 2 experience event. Trick. Play only if you control a melee asset. Okay, I'm listening. Choose a melee asset you control from the fight ability on that asset. Then, if this was your first action this round, you may fight again, adding your foot for this attack. Instead of a standard damage, this attack deals 2 damage to each enemy at your location. I think that initially you might think this is too strong, but I think this is actually pretty fair for its cost. I like it a lot. I think this is a very fun thing. Yeah, it's a build your own butterfly swords, right? Seems to odd with investigator with 1 foot. True. True. But I also understand that, like, some people, this might be their only, I mean, actually, you know what, it does seem odd, but I have 2 points to that, because I agree, it does seem odd, but one, the designers in the game do this themselves, which is always really strange, isn't it? It's really strange when it happens. But I also understand this might be someone's only thing, so they might just have this idea and go with it. And also, like, +1, if you're still fighting with a good ability, can do a lot, right? Rita can play this? Yeah, she could. Especially with, like, the new, there's some melee assets, she could actually do some cool stuff with it. I think this is a very cool card. I really like this one, too. Deliver the Judgment. This is a 4-cost, 2-experience tactic. Fast. Play only during your turn. You may take 3 additional actions this turn, which can only be spent to activate fight actions on firearm assets you control. Remove Deliver the Judgment from the game. Does this really need fast? I think so. Fast is the difference between taking 6 actions and 5 actions, right? Used to kill a boss, yeah. Sorry, I'm silent because I'm crunching the numbers on this card. I'm just like beep booping. Like, the effect is good. It's 4 cost, which is not cheap, especially because you need to play all your weapons. You can only use it to fight with firearm assets. Feels too splashable. I think that's okay, because... I mean, like, I guess that's the thing. I feel like it's more of a rogue card than Guardian, but I think at the same time it fits in Guardian, right? Doesn't feel like a 5-2 investigator play. I disagree. I think I'd want to play this in skids. Yeah, I guess my issue, I think the thing that's sticking with me is I feel like this should be a rogue card. It feels a bit more rogue than Guardian. Hey, Lucas, how's it going? But I also do like it in the Guardian class. I think that's just the thing. It just feels a little... The 4 cost, I think, is fair. The 2 experience is probably fine, because you're only probably playing one of these throughout the whole game. I don't know. I don't really have many thoughts about this one. I think the card is good, but... I think I'd have to see it in action, because there's a lot of variables, right? You need to have a gun that you want to fire, like, probably 6 times, or, like, a gun that you could, like, reload with one of those actions to really make this work. Or you have a gun that you, like, hold, right? I think the big thing is that there's a little bit of dissonance for me in terms of, like, its class, because it just feels more rogue to me, but I still think it works for Guardian, and that's why I'm just a little bit, like... stuck in the sauce, so to speak. But I think the card is good. And I'd love to try it out. Alright, Divine Protection. This is a 4 cost, Blessed Bold event, 3 experience. Play only as your first action, discard all non-weakness treachery cards from play. With this, discard, things that are in, like, next to the agenda, like, for example, the Piper, the Toot Toot from Azathoth. Would that discard that, or those? It will. Okay. I think this should be a level 5 card. It is a very splashy effect. It probably... Okay, here's the thing. Let's do this. Let's put on 2 experience. Keep the cost the same. It also, yeah, should remove itself from the game. But then also put, like, 5 blessed icons on it. Like 5 brain icons. Now we're talking. Just go big with it, right? Maybe like 3 cost, 5 experience, remove from the game, and 5 brain icons. Yeah, also probably should say not attached to elite enemy. This card is sick as hell, though, right? Like, this card's so... And I think that's why it should be a level 5 card. Not so much in terms of balance, but probably because of balance, but also because, like, this is such a splashy effect that it probably should be 4 or 5 experience, right? It just feels so powerful lore-wise, you know? Realistically, most times this card's going to discard like 3 treacheries and like 1 of them mattered, and you might as well just play Alter Fate for 3 experience, right? Which is like 1 cost and fast. But I feel like this should probably be put a bunch of brain icons on it, but like realistically, you're right. Goes nuts in the Circle Undone? Yes, it goes very nuts in the Circle Undone. Add 2 Bless for each treachery discarded. I would be fine for that too on like a 5 experience version. I think that would be a fun card. I think this card's really cool, though. I think it's sick as hell. Cool card. Into No Man's Land. This is a 4 experience innate skill. Silas can't play this, right? He can only go up to 3. All right? My boy can't play this card, so I can just skip this one. Only 2. You only go up to 2. Alright. 4 experience, 3 wilds. If this test is successful, add into the No Man's Land your play area as an asset with the text. When you draw a non-weakness encounter card, discard into No Man's Land, cancel all the card's effects, and discard it. Infinity Cube, 2 months at the Golden Table. Thank you for your Twitch Prime, and thank you for the nice message. I hope you're having a great Friday. If this skill test is successful, add into the No Man's Land, play your threat as an asset with a text. When you draw a non-weakness encounter card, cancel into No Man's Land, cancel all cards' effects, and discard it. I think this card actually costs too much experience. It's really good with the investigator in the box, but I think this 4 is probably like 1 too much. Because it's really just, I mean, it gets rid of it. I mean, no, it does get rid of an enemy. It does get rid of an enemy. So it probably, you know, this is probably fair. 4 is probably fine. Comparing it to Ward of Protection 5. Sorry, I thought it was just Treachery encounter card, but it gets rid of enemies too. So yeah, this is probably fine as it is. Scratch my first thought. You have to do a test, so it's like, there's like a downside compared to Ward of Protection 5. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. All right, Hunters of the Night. Okay, I'm in. Sign me up. 5 cost, permanent, agency. When an enemy enters play, exhaust Hunters of the Night, search your deck for an ally asset and add it to your hand. If that enemy is elite, you can put the chosen ally into play without paying any of its cost. What a cool card. What a neat fucking card, huh? Sled dogs, anybody? You just remove the hats and it's actually 4 dogs under this? I know you're all thinking it, so I'm just beating you to the punch. I'm just beating you to it. I think this card's great. I think this card's sick. I think it's a cool card. Very cool. There's a lot of cool decks that could come from a design like this, and I hope we see something like this in the actual game. This is a really cool card. Flavor's really awesome. The art is incredible. Great find on this one. And the effect is really cool. And yes, we can play with Sled Dogs, baby. We're in. Just need 5 experience and your Sled Dog deck is done. All right, on to the Seeker cards. Etsley Pendant. This is a 2 cost accessory. Item Relic. Uses 0 secrets. After you successfully investigate a location with 4 or more shroud, place 1 secret on Etsley Pendant. As a lightning bolt, spend 1 secret, you get +2 brain or +2 foot for this skill test, limit once per test. Okay, so already we have a card for why you would want to put up with the investigator that's in the box, so that's exciting. That is good news. You love to see it. 1 second. So the other thing, this card is basically like a mask. Without like the limit on it, but you need to like get the offerings on it to like replenish it. And I think that's pretty fair, as we learned from the masks. They were less oppressive than the community thought they were going to be leading up to it. So I think this card's cool. I think it's a good level 0 card for sure. Book of Changes. Okay. 3-cost asset, takes up a hand slot item tome, uses 4 secrets as a reaction. After location shroud value changes, exhaust Book of Changes and spend 1 secret. Investigate, you get +2 book for this investigation. So I think this is really neat, but I think this card is unfortunately an issue with nesting tests, which I think is like fine rules-wise, but it probably shouldn't exist for that reason, right? Like, this probably should be, like, worded in a different way. Just because, like, for example, the most common thing you can see is someone uses a flashlight or an old keyring, and then they have to also resolve this. I think that it probably should be modified in some way, just to not have that be a thing like every turn, right? Like, it's totally fine to work in the rules, but it's probably cleaner otherwise. Lightning Bolt Infiltration Shroud was changed this round. Yeah, you could say that, and then like also like not during a test, right? Like just to like, I think like the philosophy of this card and the design of this card is pretty good. I think it probably just needs like a format structure change in some way. Like to not have this be a nested test issue like all the time. Like, it's not a problem with the investigator printed in here, right? Because you do it at the like start of your turn or whatever it was, right? Or like as a lightning bolt. I mean, even as a lightning bolt, it becomes problematic. But there needs to be something that makes it so this doesn't happen during another test. Even though it works in the rules, it just simplifies it and makes it so it's not an issue. Just trust me on that. Trust me. All right, Dominic Lefeur was once an adventurous guy. Now he just counts coins at his desk all day. This is a 3-cost ally. Takes up the ally slot, of course. He's a wayfarer. Soaks for 1 and 2. You get +1 book. After you enter a location with a shroud value of 4 or higher, you get +1 skill value for next skill test. This guy needs to cost 4. I'll say that right now. Other than that, I love it. But he needs to cost 4. Because that's just kind of like the baseline for having a book boost. So, at the very least at level 0. Other than that, though, I think it's pretty neat. It not being an investigate, but just anything is kind of like a... The Yellow Investigator, I don't know. That was too long ago, and I'm on a slideshow mode, so I can't go back and check. I think it was just your location. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. But yeah, this guy, he needs to cost 4. It was choose any location? Let's go. Alright, come to play. This is a 1-cost event. Trick, play only if you're engaged with an enemy. Move, evade. You get +X for this evasion attempt, where X is your location's shroud value. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Okay. So again, more relevant stuff for his text for putting the shroud value up, which is neat. Alright, but let's take that guy out of this and just look at like the card pool as a whole. You get +X for this evasion attempt, where X is your location's shroud value. Huh. So you have to move, and then you get to evade. It means you're going to be able to evade with this, right? It's a nice panic button for Seekers to have for sure, right? It doesn't actually, like, I'm fine with, like, I mean, honestly, evade spells should be good, like evade events, they should be good, because, just putting bold words like that work in the game's wording? Yeah, I think so. Come Get Over Here, I think, has both engage and fight on it, right? Yeah, like evade cards, they should be like more efficiently costed because they're worse than like kill spells, right? So I like this card. I think it's playable as hell. I think it's a good card. What I mean is Get Over Here explains in text how and both those things happen. I mean, but this also does, like, to me, this also works, right? I don't see why this doesn't work in terms of how you move and then you evade. And then for the evasion, you get plus X evasion attempt, where X is the location's shroud value. I don't see why it wouldn't work. Man, that tree's going crazy outside. Alright, frame up. Alright, this better be playable in Daryl, baby. 2-cost event, it's a trick, evade. Use it only on a non-elite enemy. You may use your book in place of your foot for the skill test. If you succeed and the shroud value of your location is 4 or higher, that enemy does not ready during the next upkeep phase. During the upkeep phase, you may choose to return this card to your hand instead of drawing a card. Interesting, right? Like, I think like the top effect is pretty good, right? Like the top effect fits into a world very similar to Slip Away, right? Like the top half of this card is really good. Like it's works well with the cost. But let's check out that bottom part of the card, because I think that's where things get interesting. What do we think of that? During the phase, you may choose to return this card to your hand instead of drawing a card. Assuming this probably should be some text. I mean, does this need some text where it needs to be from your discard pile? I don't really understand what the flavor of it is, right? I think if you cover up that bottom part of the card, this card is really good. I don't really know why you need to have that bottom part on. Just my opinion. I think it's neat, though. I like the top half a lot. I think the top half of this card is banger. I'd love to play this in Rita, you know? Yeah, I think you just drop the bottom part. I don't understand the flavor. I think you want just the top part. I think the top part's a really playable card. All right, think it over. 2-cost event, it's an insight. Fast, play only if the shroud value location is 4 or higher. Put Think It Over into play in your play area. As a reaction, when you discover the last clue of your location, discard Think It Over. Discover 2 clues at a location with a higher printed shroud value than your location instead. Location over. Discover 2 clues. Interesting. This is basically just discover another clue, right? This is busted IMO. Alright, I'm curious, because I don't see what's busted about it. So I'm curious. I would love to know why, because I don't know, so I would love some perspective. Because to me, there's just so many ways to like grab clues, move clues, discover clues. This just seems like another tool that lives in that box, right? I don't really see the busted nature of it. I think it's efficient, yeah. Because, like, you could go to Shroud 2 with a flashlight and almost Teslas grab 2 clues from a Shroud 5. It's true. You can also do the same thing with You could also do the same thing with Shed a Light, which admittedly does cost experience now, but I still think Shed a Light is better because you don't need to like actually be doing any testing, right? You just like do it, and it grabs 3 clues instead of 2. Well, this actually only really grabs... This really only actually grabs 1 additional clue on top of everything else, right? Because you're sacrificing the clue you're getting from your investigation action. Like, it reasonably could cost 1 experience if we want to compare it a bit to Shed a Light, right? But yeah, this to me just, like, lives in a world... Like, even like a... what is that one card that moves a clue when you enter a location? Is that Vantage Point that does that? Yeah, like even like the idea of moving, because this like it kind of is like moving a clue as well, so it lives in that. I mean, maybe like I need to see it in action to see like the power of this, but I just see like the 1 extra clue, right? You get +2 clues. You get +1 clue. Oh no, you do get +1 clue. No, you discover 2 clues, then you're located. No, because you only get 2 clues. You only get +1 clue, right? When you would discover the last clue location, discover 2 clues at a location with a higher printed shroud value. I'm curious, because I think that this one, it could be surprising when you actually play it, right? Like, anything that does it, like, that's why I'm not, like with, I'm not disagreeing that this card could potentially be busted. Because it does live in, like, that, it could live in that working a hunch, Shed a Light Vantage Point box, or it could be living in, like, the Shed a Light box, right? Like, it could be living in one of those. So I want to try this one out before I really settle on it, you know? There is no instead. There is an instead. Right there. Like there's this word on this. Isn't that instead? Or am I having an issue with how I perceive space and time, and I need to see somebody about this? It is in a weird place. Like it should be like kind of like up here, right? Yeah, I'm curious about this card, though. I'm curious. But I think the reality is, too, that Seekers just have, like, stronger tools in general already. And, like, another one of these might not be too much of a thing. All right. Logical conclusion. Me and Bryn trying to cook up another sled dog deck to annoy Travis with. This is a 2-cost insight. It's an event. Play only if the shroud value of location is 4 or higher. Investigate. If you succeed, put logical conclusion to play in your play area. Forced. When you draw a treachery card, cancel that card's revelation effect and discard logical conclusion. Yeah. You don't get to choose. It just basically negates the next treachery card. You get to grab a clue. You need to succeed on a shroud value 2 or higher. This is basically just like a worse ward of protection, right? Like you do get a clue out of it. You do get a clue out of it, but I don't think I'd play this card. Should probably be non-weakness though. I agree and I disagree. I agree because for balance and level, probably, right? But I also love that you figure out a logical conclusion that your weakness is on top of your deck and you can defeat it with this card. Feels very, like, in flavor of the card. I agree, though, that it probably should just for, you know, like, consistency and formatting sakes. But I don't know if I'd play this card. It seems cuter than it is gooder, you know? All right, focus your mind. The force makes it bad and also balanced. I agree. I agree completely. This is a 5-cost insight event. Play only if there are no enemies at your location. Your location gets -3 shroud until the end of the round. This is a very expensive effect, but it's a powerful effect, right? I think our closest comparison to an effect like this is there is that Arcane Insight card, but there's also, this is sort of like Breach the Door. Breach the Door is definitely stronger because it's permanent, right? But you have to pay 2 and make a test to potentially reduce a shroud by 3 or more, right? It seems very expensive, but I understand like why it is so expensive, right? It is a pretty spicy card for sure, for sure. Yeah. Double book icon IMO? Probably. Either that or like it could be like 1 book and cost 4. I think if it costs 4, it makes it a bit more doable. 5 is a lot, though. Seeker does have absolutely killer economy. Mind you, like, Seeker economy is really good. Let's just take a moment and respect that. But I agree. It's also not fast, right? Yeah. I get, like, 5 and fast, maybe. Maybe there's an upgraded version that makes it a bit more playable, and then you down the rabbit hole with it. I do think, yeah, I agree. It's like, it's kind of funny, because I think that the Guardian cards were a bit too strong, and I think the Seeker cards are, like, some of them are a bit, like, over where they need to be. It's very interesting. I do think that, though, the Seeker has a much better mechanical identity between all the cards, which I think is really neat. Can Carson play this? I believe so. Because he can do Seeker for one of his colors. He can't do Rogue, right? A Call to Adventure, an innate skill for Silas. All right, this is a Seeker card. Call to Adventure gains a wild icon for each different location that you enter this round, and it has a wild icon. Oh, Ursula. Hurry up, Jake, you got to see this. You know, they know exactly who needs it and who wants it. It's a tracking nightmare. I agree. It does have memory issues for sure. But I think the effect is like playable. Most of the time, I think this is just going to end up being an unexpected courage for people, but if you can do it over and over and over again, it's going to be a little bit of a nightmare for keeping track of it, for sure. Also, yeah, very good in Monterey. I probably wouldn't play this in Silas, as I always have to, you know, do the Silas thing. Scout Ahead combo, yeah, that would be, it'd be tough to track, for sure. I think that's a very fair criticism of this card. I think otherwise, like, I think if you take the tracking out of it, it is, like, I think pretty comparable. You need to work pretty hard to make, like, a Promise of Power, and then you're using it, like, during your turn, mostly, like, as opposed to being something. I mean, it's really nice for, like, a rogue, like, specifically, like, Monterey Jack, or Trish to, like, help deal with their, a Frozen and Fear, potentially, which is nice. More options for that. I mean, there already are a lot of options for that, though. That is also a pretty diluted pool at this point now, too. We found it! A light bulb. They're like, we fucking did it! We don't need to eat in the dark anymore! We did it! Alright, so this is a practice skill. Commits for 2 books. Commit only to a skill test if the Shroud value location is 4 or higher. If this test is successful, the performing investigator draws 2 cards, then discards a card from their hands. Yeah, I think this is pretty legit, right? This is some AI-generated looking art. Oh, hell yeah. He's not even holding the light bulb. Like, he's actually, like, not even holding it, you know? Do you play video games? I do play video games. Yeah, I think this card's pretty reasonable, right? I think it's, like, there's not much to say. I think the card's just... I'd play the hell out of this card for sure if it existed. But then I'd also cut it from my deck, because I don't think this would last too long in my world. All right, hard work, or is it? Talent. 0 cost, 1 experience. Uses 0 supplies, limit 10 supplies on hard work. When the Shroud value of a location changes, place 1 supply on hard work. A Lightning Bolt, discard hard work, move all supplies from it to your resource pool as resources. This is an interesting investments mirror, right? Investments is a tech card. You bring it into your deck if you are a big money deck and you drew something that removes your weaknesses. I think that just Seeker Economy is just, like, better than this. I think, like, I agree. In the right campaign, this thing goes hard, and that's probably good. But, like, I mean, like, I kind of just feel like I'll just play, like, Crack the Case and like Dr. Milan for the most part. But like, I mean, in Daryl, I think Daryl really likes this. I hate that I'm doing it because I hate those critiques, right? We're just like, why would I play this when you want to, like, when this exists? I hate those criticisms, right? No, that is a good point. You know what? I'm gonna say right now that wasn't actually thought about, because it should say when the shroud value of one or more locations change, place one supply on hard work, because it's true. So this is what Walker of Tales is saying. Oh, what's that? We're playing Innsmouth and someone drew fog over Innsmouth and now I get 8 free resources. Yes, this should say when the shroud value of one or more locations change, place one supply on hard work. That is probably a necessity, because you are 100% right. I didn't even realize that. In that case, yes, that would be absolutely wild. Ooh. Hard work? No. Innsmouth did it for me. Yeah. So I would play this card in like decks that manipulate, as you were saying, right? You want to be able to do this multiple times a turn. If you're playing like a min deck or like a just like a Survivor Seeker deck where you're going to be using or Secret Survivor, where you're going to be using like old Keyring every turn, right? Like that's where this is going to like really pop off. Or as printed in Innsmouth, play it on Innsmouth. Yeah, if you're playing Matt, I think there's a lot of like to go back and to shoot my original statement of I would rather just play like Burning the Midnight Oil and Crack the Case. Again, at this point now the card pool is so huge that there's times where this deck will be more efficient. And if you're using like Matchbox, old Keyring, Flashlight, this card goes fucking hard. All right, change is inevitable. That's very true. We should all just accept that in our lives. Things are going to change. This is a 2-cost, 1 experience event. It's a spell. Play only if you're play only a location with a different shroud value than the printed value. Deal X damage to an enemy or location, where X is the difference between the printed shroud value of your location and the current shroud value. I think this card is pretty neat. I think you need to do a lot of work for it. It's definitely like a payoff to an archetype. This shroud changing effect, I would love to see it in the game. Unfortunately, I'd probably not want to see it in Seekers, even though they do it so well. I'd probably want to see it more in the Survivor thing. But I think this card's really cool. I think this is a really neat card. 2 damage from a Skirring Fly. And that's kind of why I like it, right? Because there's a few cards that you can actually just like take advantage of when they show up. I think it's a neat card. I think it's neat. All right, the final ingredient. 2-cost, 1 experience event, insight and tactic. Playing with the shroud value of location is 4 or higher. Choose an asset or location, place 2 secrets or supply tokens on that asset. Then, the owner of that asset draws 2 cards. It seems very efficient, right? I'm just trying to think, is it like too-ish efficient? I'm thinking of that one card, the one where you're like, the one with the girl reading the book that puts secrets on things. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but Truth from Fiction. Yeah, Lady with a Book, yeah. I'm comparing it to that, and the upgraded version, what, puts like 3 secrets on? Or like if you have like clues, it does something else. Like that's like, one of those is the trigger. And I feel, yeah, it's exactly that. I could not have said it. This is like, but it feels like this is on mega steroids. Yeah. Place 2 secrets among assets controlled by investigators your location. 3 secrets instead if there's a clue your location. The icons are worth. The other one commits for 3 book, which is notable. But like this just seems like a bit too good for that. I honestly think that if this was like 2 secrets and it just like it replaced itself, it was just draw a card, I think that would be fine. But the 2 cards is pretty spicy. Because it does have a restriction of shroud value 4, which is like, I know, not a restriction, but it kind of is. Its icons are worse, so that's also some relevancy. Like 3 book icons is really good for truth from fiction. I don't know. What if someone plays 2 supplies on your chainsaw with this, though? That's sick as hell. I think that's also pretty cool. Like, maybe flavor-wise, like, and like color pie-wise, Seekers shouldn't have supply tokens, but that is kind of a neutral effect as well, so it kind of falls into everybody's purview. All right, Seeking Knowledge. 3 cost, 2 experience talent. After you hit a location with 4 more Shroud, exhaust Seeking Knowledge, immediately take a basic action. Yeah. 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 Love that it's basic action. Nice forethought there, right? This is kind of like Pathfinder, right? But like different. So do we want to give Seekers 4 Pathfinders? Yeah, I think so. I think that's fine. If someone wants to do that, more power to them, right? Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one. Just, yeah, I'm here for it. I'm down for it. Hey, that's the Vow of Dritztelek. All right. This is incriminating evidence. 2 cost, 2 experience, inside event. Discover 1 clue from any location in play. After you draw incriminating evidence during your turn, play it. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know if I'd pay 2 experience for this effect, but I like the effect. It's neat. I think like this is an effect we'll see on the game at some time, right? It's any location in play. Maybe 2 experience is fine. Again, though, I think you're kind of just like... I don't know. I think this card's like fine, right? It's a neat effect, and as again, I'd love to see this in the actual game sometime. Yeah, you do pay the cost with the reaction, you do. So yeah, you're paying experience and an action. In theory, you're playing it actionless to have a global working a hunch. I think you're right. I would try this out. I would try it out for sure. Harvey would love this, I think. But, like, Harvey's very powerful, so I'm not surprised. Daisy would like it, too. She could draw it when she wants. Yeah. Mandy would like it. I probably wouldn't play it in Rex. Okay. Thematic Compass. Hey, that's some Magic the Gathering art. 4 cost, 3 experience, takes up the hand slot, item relic, exhaust Thematic Compass, investigate. Add your foot value to your skill value for this investigation. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at this location. It spins and turns and tells me things you would not believe. What is that new card? Fine-tuning. What is that attached to? Tool or science? Dang. So no for all cards so far, please credit artists. I do agree. Yeah, you probably should definitely add credit to the artists. Even if you're doing this just for yourself, it's nice. It's just nice to have that on there. 1, it makes the card look more complete. 2, it's nice to credit the artists because, like, you know, they did the thing. And 3, it just looks nice as hell, you know? Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's... Like, it's a deduction every turn. You're going to get a good foot value. Most Seekers have, like, at least a 2, right? It's probably too good as a source of infinite extra clues. I mean, it does cost 3 experience and 4 resources, right? It's also unique. You get, like, 1 a turn. It's pretty... I mean, like... If we want to get, like, super sticky with it, this is essentially a Pathfinder. Now, hear me out! Hear me out! Pathfinder essentially allows you to take an additional clue, right? Like that's what you're usually doing for Pathfinder. And this feels like the same sort of thing. You're giving up an action you're getting an additional clue to do something else, right? First the ward protection scale, now the Pathfinder scale. It's true. It's true. I do agree that it's like most Seekers would play this, but I think also like most people would get bored of playing this because it's just like boring value. It could be 4 experience, 4/4. But like if it was like, I think slightly more interesting, people would be like, they would think about it less, right? But this really is just like another copy of Pathfinder. I know, it's crazy, but it really kind of just is. Because you're going to use this, get an additional clue, and be like, I've hit my tempo for the turn. I'm going to now play this other asset with that action I just made. And Pathfinder kind of does the same thing, right? But I do think that if this was just like a little bit more... I think that this could be like a little bit more interesting, is what it really comes down to. All right, Marvelous Discovery. This is a 3 experience practice skill, commits for a wild. Commit only to a skill test performing, max 1 per skill test. If this test is successful, choose an event in your discard pile and immediately play it without paying any of its cost. When this test ends, remove Marvelous Discovery and that event from the game. So I think that the design on these cards are doing a really good job at making sure like you can't loop most of these very powerful effects. This is a very powerful effect, but it's pretty on par with Eidetic Memory, right? So I think like more options for cards like that in different investigators is exciting, because Amanda, for example, could maybe look at doing this one, right? Like, or like, you know, like maybe not Amanda, but like it's just like a different thing, like a more skill-based investigator. Like Min might want to. She's a much better example, right? Min would play that over Eidetic Memory and looking at a similar thing. It's also not linked to a specific card like Insight. I think it's pretty legit. It's just like the same kind of effect around a similar cost, but you have to do like different things. It's like paying a cost versus passing a test. Yevgeny Izmailov. This is a 3-cost, 4 experience, ally veteran asset. 2/3. While you're at a location with a shroud value of 4 or higher, you get +1 book and +1 brain. Sorry for saying those the wrong way. I'm sure I rubbed someone the wrong way there. Lightning Bolt. Exhaust Yevgeny. Choose and discard 1 card from your hand, then draw 1 card. Any investigator at his location may trigger this ability. It's very powerful, but I think for 4 experience is like probably pretty good, right? Like it's a very powerful effect. A group loot is really sick. Very smart to have it so that you need to actually discard a card to draw a card, because it's the then comma. I think this guy's pretty legit. He's very playable. He's very good. And I think he's very fair for his cost. 4 experience is a lot for an ally. And you also don't get his boost all the time, but you always have his group loot around the table. Great card, I think. I think this is really nice. Alchemical Experiment. This is a 3-cost, 4 experience event. It's a spell insight. Play only if the shroud value of your location is 4 or higher. Test book X, where X is the shroud value of your location. If you succeed, each investigator location discard all cards from their hand. Then each investigator at this location draws until they have 5 cards in their hand. Interesting. Interesting. This is... Can you imagine getting like 4 people to draw like 3 or 4 cards and you get like frickin' 12 to 16 cards out of this? I think this is a really cool effect, right? I like it. I like it. I mean, like, there needs to be, like, I think, once again, this is a card that is Magical Christmas Land, right? Where you, yeah, you can even commit your entire hand to it. That's kind of sick. But there's, like, Magical Christmas Land where you look at this card, and as I said, everyone's drawing 5 cards, and you're at a 4-player game, and you just drew 20 cards for the table, right? But really, unless you're playing around it, and I agree with what you're saying, that this would be a very play-around card. You'd be everyone commit your cards. We're refreshing, right? I also, yeah, I think a 5 XP would work as really well because it's also like a flashy effect too, right? I like it. I think this card's really sick. Beseech the Gods. Oh my god. Are we just ending with a 5 experience, like, sick-ass permanent for each of these? Permanent into auto, this into auto-fail? Yeah, you can definitely, you commit your analysis to this for sure. If you're playing this, you're running analysis as part of the combo. Alright, Beseech the Gods. 5 experience ritual, permanent limit 1 per deck. When your turn begins, choose reveal location and exhaust Beseech the Gods. That location gets -1 or +1 shroud until the end of the round. If you increase the shroud by this effect, choose an investigator to draw 1 card. So, one thing that I really like about this design in the context of this expansion is that this allows any Seeker to trigger the effects that the inbox Seeker plays with for this one. This also gives you a reason outside of that to potentially draw a card. However, the problem with this card is that you just like choose a location without clues and you draw a card each turn. And that's pretty good for 5 experience. I think the thing that this card is missing is that you want to say choose a reveal location with clues and exhaust Beseech the Gods. I think that's text you need on this card. It might seem a little bit limiting for that to be 5 experience, but the thing is you're getting value from this every turn, and how many turns do you need to get to have the value? And the answer is probably 5 turns, which you will get with that text. So I think this probably should say choose a reveal location with clues and exhaust Beseech the Gods. And that's my thought, because exactly that. You get all the clues and then you just make a irrelevant location +1 shroud and you draw a card each turn. I like the effect a lot, but I do think it needs that to be tweaked on it. Rogue cards. Okay. Master Tactician. It's an asset, limit 1 per investigator. It's a talent, 1 cost. Forced. After your turn ends, name a card. During your next turn, if you play the card with the chosen name during your first or last action, reduce the resource cost of that card by 1. If you do not play the card with the chosen name during your next turn, discard Master Tactician. This could probably also have Tactic on it. Just because once again, it says Tactic on it. So it'd be kind of fun for that. I don't think this one's like, so normally I complain about memory issues, but this one's like entirely just you, so this one's actually like pretty easy to trigger. I do like how it like can kind of commit you. It feels very roguey in the sense that it can kind of commit you to doing something, and then suddenly you draw an enemy and you're like, well, I was going to do that first. Do I still do it first? I could do it last. I think there's kind of some fun stuff there. I think it's a neat card for sure. Yeah. I think the card's pretty interesting. I think it'd be fun to play with. It even forces you to do this if you have no cards to play. That's kind of fun. Honestly, you could solve the memory issue by attaching the card with the chosen name to this card or some such. Hell yeah. That's a great point. I wouldn't have thought of that, and that's, I mean, maybe eventually, but that's a great way of dealing with that. I like that a lot. I think this card's really fun, and that idea of attaching it, at least like to keep it game stated, is kind of sick. All right, we got Babyface Gianni, the Muscle. This guy is a 2-cost ally criminal asset. Takes up the ally slot, of course. Soaks for 2 and 1. Forced. If Babyface Gianni is discarded as a result of playing another ally asset from your hand, return him to your hand at the end of the round. Whoa. Interesting. After Babyface Gianni enters play, deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location or a connecting location. So you play another ally, Babyface Gianni comes back to your hand. You kill him by soak. Leo does love this big dumb idiot. He really does. What an interesting guy. Honestly, I think my only thought is that he should soak for 1 and 1. I think Babyface Gianni should be like a rogue puzzle and he shouldn't soak for any damage. Even though like it makes sense, he's a big tough guy, but he's a babyface, you know, like maybe he's just like a little rough around the edges, or soft around the edges rather. But I think there's a really cool puzzle to this guy that I think is really playable. I love him. I love him. All right, Four Eyes Johnny. We're just getting the whole mob here. This is an ally criminal, 3 cost, takes up the ally slot. Soaks for 2 and 1. Forced. If 4-Eye Johnny's is discarded as a result played another ally asset from your hand, return it to your hand at the end of the round. After your ender's play, discover one clear location. Oh, it's just the gang. It's just the gang's all here. Interesting. Okay, so this is I like this because if we actually look at it in Leo, Leo's relationship with Babyface ended. 4-Eye's his new boyfriend. It's true. But if we look at this card in Leo, right? If you think about it, it's really actually just working a hunch in Leo, right? Which is neat to have Leo have access to that in his card pool. I think is really cool. I think you would just like loop these guys forever. Like you would go, here's Johnny, here's Gianni, here's Johnny, here's Gianni, right? I also think again this guy shouldn't soak damage. I think that these guys are more interesting if you want to keep them alive and keep looping them. I love the designs of these cards too. These are actually really inspired. I think these are really cool. And he sees everything. Cool cards. Cool cards. Cursed Altar. Yeah, you ain't fucking lying. This is a 3-cost cursed asset. When you would test your brain, foot, or fist, exhaust Cursed Altar. Test your foot instead. After you fail a skill test, remove Cursed Altar from the game. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a neat effect where it's you fail a skill test, remove it. I would love it to also put in 2 curse tokens, just for fun when you fail as well. But I think this is a pretty nice card, right? Some playable high difficulties and nearly broken at low ones. I mean, you only get 1 test, right? At foot. It's maybe too good for Mythos protection. I mean, like, how many here's the question. Here's a good question, right? How many... Yeah, put in a curse when you use its reaction ability. That would also, I think, be really good. Exhaust Cursed Altar and put a curse token into the Mythos, into the token bag. How many tests at this point would this card... would you allow you to use your foot that it's too good? Like, how many times would you need to pass a test with your foot before this card becomes too good? Because this is just after you fail a skill test, right? So, like, it's not the skill test on Cursed Altar. I agree, it probably would be better if, and like more flavorfully fun, if you had to put in the curse token when you used its reaction ability. I think that's a really nice idea, Astute. I think that's really nice. And I'm kind of with you, 4 or 5. Like, as soon as I got 5, I'd be like, wow, I'm killing it. But the thing is, you fail tests all the time in Arkham, right? And like... I should be amazed if there was standard on easy difficulty. Fintakes never will test again. I mean, like, but then, like, it's just like, you could, like, you just, like, get the -4. You can't be up 4 on all your tests, right? Like, if you just fail any test, it's gone. So, like, that's why I think it's pretty fair. I do think that, like... Like for tricks, you'd be doing foot and foot. No, because you add that. You're not testing. You're not testing. Oh, no, you are adding your foot to that one. So that is pretty, that would be pretty good. I don't know if that's when you'd want to use it. But, like, maybe? I don't know. I do agree that this needs, like, something, I think, to just, like, really fit the curse thing. I think Astute's idea of having a curse token come in when you use the reaction is the most interesting. But I do think that this is going to pop sooner than you expect. I fail tests on standard all the time. That's the nature of taking tests. Because you can't be up 4 on every test you take. And sometimes you draw the 4, sometimes you draw the auto-fail. Sometimes you draw a token into a token. Sometimes, like, frost tokens get you. There's a lot of ways to just fail a test and this goes away. It's neat, though. It could be 1 experience as well, if I do 2. I do too, but don't play this card until you've got at least 2 foot cards out. It's true, but also at the same time, like, the longer you hold it, the less value you get out of it, right? So that's why I think it's pretty fair as it is. Again, I need to see it in practice, and I do wish there was some curse energy, but it's an interesting card. But I think it will pop sooner than you expect. You just get 1 auto fail on your lockpicks, and you're like, well, egads. I would love it if you fail a skill test, you also, like, again, put in a bunch of curse tokens. Alright, Secret Meeting. This is a 2-cost tactics service event. Investigate. Add your foot value to your skill value for this skill test. If you see, draw 1 card. If this is the first action you perform this round, draw an additional card. Interesting. I like this card. I think it's good. It's like a lockpicks that replaces itself and you only get to use it once. And if you do it, it's like a weird bold type of thing. It's a neat card. I have no notes. I'm going to continue on because we're already almost 2 hours in. It's a good card. Catching Up. This is a 1-cost tactic event. If you control a criminal asset, this card gains fast. Interesting. Search the eye cards of your deck for an ally asset and add to your hand. Shuffle your deck for a rogue ally asset. So this works with the Gianni and Johnny boys. I like that. Looping those guys seems like a very fun deck to try once and then be like, I've done it. But I think that this is just a nice card for like some rogues in general. I think it's a cool card. Hell yeah. It's like prepared for the criminal, you know? Alright. Those are Johnny and Johnny in the art? Yeah, Johnny and Gianni, let's go. They're catching up. They're like, hey, do you remember when Leo played us? Yeah, it was a great time. I miss Leo. Too bad he died in the jungle. Alright, Making a Point. This is a 3-cost event. It's a tactic and service. Fight. You may use your foot instead of fist with this attack. You get +2 skill value for each criminal asset you control. This attack deals +2 damage. Okay, so this is like Backstab, right? And Backstab is just... it doesn't give you the boost. So this is a little bit of... okay, so this is a little bit of power creep, right? This is a little bit of power creep. Because it actually is just like a strictly better Backstab. Because you may use your fist, and it gives you... the icons are different. Okay, so it's not strictly better. You can't commit for a foot. But I do think that this probably... I don't know. I just don't like how it's just like Backstab, but in my mind, like, unless you're playing a crystallizer deck, you mostly don't care about the foot icon rather, on Backstab, so you just like attack with it. Honestly, if you just make this cost 4, I think I'd be much happier with it. Like, if this just costs 4, I'd be like, okay, I got that. That's fair. I get it. But I mean, I think the flavor of it's really good, but that's just like where I'm living with this one. Preparation is key. This is a 1-cost tactic event. Play only as your last action. During your next turn, treat the first event card you play as if its resource cost was paid. What an interesting card. Huh. Just thinking of all like the big rogue events. I mean, it's there's like the service ones, right? Those are the ones where you, like, the pay 2 extra ones. I think this card's interesting. I think that this is a card that, excuse me, that I think would make Bryn go, huh? Could Hot Streak? Yeah, Hot Streak would be really sick. Would this play? Would this pay for the second play an event that you double with the Rogue Investigator in this? I would say, to answer that question, we have to ask a new question. Does double-double count as one event being played or 2 events being played? Because if double-double is 2 events being played, is just playing the same one twice, I would say only the first version of it is paid. Funky. All right, Viper's Kiss. This is a 1-cost trick event. All right, Rita, she's interested. Fast. Play after you evade a non-elite enemy. Attach Viper's Kiss to it with 1 resource on it. At the end of the round, place 1 resource on Viper's Kiss. Attach enemy gains -1 attack and evade value for each resource on Viper's Kiss. Forced. After the attached enemy takes any amount of damage, discard Viper's Kiss. This is kind of cool. I don't really know what it does, but I think it's kind of cool. It works well with, I mean, no, Rita likes it, right? Because you can also play it with stuff like the exploit weakness, which doesn't really have a lot of synergy right now. Bring it down to 0 and then just troop it up and kill it with that? Oh, excuse me. Reduce an enemy's evade value to 0. That people that want enemies around like Trish and Alessandra. It's true. The only downside is you're taking that extra like action to evade it each turn. Then you can just kill it eventually. I think that there's something here. Again, I'm not too sure exactly what, but I'm curious, and I'd want to try this card out in a few decks, explore it in the card pool. I think it's really interesting. Tighten the screws. Sorry, 1 second. In the round. Okay. The thing that I like about this compared to like that Grievous Wound is that it like goes to 2 resources immediately at the end of the turn, right? And I think that this, I would play this in Rita with Exploit Weakness. I think that's where I'd put this. Tighten the screws. Oh, the Gianni boys are back. This is a practice skill, commits for 3 fists. Commit only to skill tests if you control an ally with asset with a criminal trait. If this test is successful, gain 2 resources. Hell yeah, I'd play the fuck out of this in the right deck. I love this card. I love active economy, baby. I'm down. Sign me up. I want it. I want to play it. I want to play with the Gianni boys. The Gianni boys, Johnny and Gianni, like they're we're cooking. We're cooking with her. That's a inspired little archetype we got brewing here. Family Protection. This is an innate skill. Commits for a wild. For each criminal asset you control and in your hand, Family Protection gains a wild. I love that frickin' bulldog, man. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I like it for, like, rogue protections. I think that's pretty sweet. How much do you think that dog in the art soaks for? 4 damage, 1 horror. 100%. He soaks for so much fucking damage. It's insane. All right, let's get to the experienced rogue cards. We got Negotiations. This is a 0 cost, 1 experience, Gambit illicit event. Parlay, reveal a random chaos token to the chaos bag. If you revealed a positive number, gain 5 resources. A negative number, return an ally asset from your discard pile into your hand. A symbol, draw 2 cards. Interesting. I mean, it is a gambit. I was going to say, this doesn't feel very rogue, but it is kind of just like a gamble, right? Because you don't know what you're going to get. I love the idea of doing this with Olive. Olive 2. And just like, you know what? I think I want to do a little bit of everything. What happens? So if you reveal 2 symbols, do you draw 4 cards? Or does it just like only care if you hit the threshold, so you'd want to get different things? So you really only get like the +1 to give you the 5 resources. So you can't really bang on that one. Think it only cares for different ones? Yeah. Fun. I don't know if I'd play it, but I'd play it for shits and giggles. I definitely play it in a campaign with Eric, because Eric always is flabbergasted anytime I do all my gambling. All right, on your toes. I've used this art before. I know this one. This is an innate skill for 1 experience, commits for a foot and a wild. I'm listening. If you have taken any amount of damage and or horror this round, on your toes gains foot wild wild. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of icons, right? Like, that's a lot of icons. Rogues would love this card. The high foot value this can go is insane, right? Probably should be 1 or more damage, because 0 is any amount of damage. It's true. If you have taken 1 or more damage in a horror this round, yes, that probably should be worded like that. I agree. Because, yeah, 0 is any amount. I have taken 0 damage, which is an amount of damage. Good point. Good point. Yeah, I like the card, though. I think, like, Tony could go hard with it. Because he can play toe-to-toe. Leo would love it. Skids would like it. There's a lot of good stuff here. Keep blasting. Ah, there's the Gianni boys. This is a practice skill. Commits for, sorry, it's a 1 experience. Commits for 2 fist. Commit only to a skill test during an attack with a firearm asset. This attack deals +1 damage. If you succeed, you can spend 1 additional ammo from that asset to deal an additional damage. Vicious blow. Vicious blow for firearms. So the reason why I think this is fair at 1 XP is because it's limited to firearms, but I like the flavor that kind of comes with the typewriter, right? I think this is a really cool card. I think this this hits, and I think it's pretty killer. It's a cool card. First Impression. This is a 2 experience talent, permanent, limit 1 per deck. Add trigger a reaction ability that triggers when an ally S enters play. Play exhaust, so after enters play, the comma fricked me up there. When an ally asset enters play, exhaust First Impression. Resolve its ability again. So here we have the big payoff to the Gianni brothers, Johnny and Gianni, but also works. Who are other allies with reaction abilities? Laboratory assistant, art student, medical student, right? I'd probably put it up a bit more experience, you know? This is an archetype defining card. I'd probably just make it exceptional, right? I'd probably just make it exceptional. I think 4 experience is pretty alright for this effect. 2 experience allows off-color rogues to still play it, which I think is important. But I think it probably needs a bit more experience. But it is an archetype-defining deck, so you kind of want it to be permanent. But I think 5 is too much. I think 4 is pretty alright. I think it's okay that it's powerful at that level because it's your deck. Like, this is what your deck does. Yeah, I think I would just want this to be exceptional. I love it, though. Jeremiah? Ooh, we're cooking. We're cooking. Yeah, I think that's fun. Alright. Kidnapping. Oh, no. This is a 1 cost, 2 experience tactic illicit event. It's evade. If you succeed and the enemy is not elite, attach kidnapping to it. When attached enemy would ready, spend 2 resources. Attached enemy does not ready. I'd probably make this 0 cost, to be honest. I don't think 3 resources to keep an enemy frozen is worth it, you know? I don't know, I feel like this is a lot, right? I feel like this is a bit, like, again, evade should be cheaper in the long term. Yeah, maybe like leave it at 1 but make it still cost 1. So like instead of 2. I don't know. I just don't think I'd play this card. I think there's like just better options out there for a similar sort of effect. Like handcuffs. It just seems like a lot to tap down an enemy. You know? But like there's other things that are just like I think are more efficiently costed, right? Yeah, I also like the idea of it flavored more like a ransom too. But I don't think I think you need to put resources into it, but you get your resources back. It doesn't really hit the ransom thing, but there's kind of like he's an investment. Ezekiel Abad, and thank you so much for 13 months of the Twitch Prime, much appreciated. Welcome to the Golden Table. It's a pleasure to have you again. Thank you for your support. Liquidate. I thought this said lingerie for a second when I first saw that. My brain's a little bit fucked, I guess. So Liquidate, this is a 2-cost event, 2 experience, trick, task, bold. Play only as your first or last action. Automatically defeat all non-elite enemies or location and each connected location with exactly 1 health remaining. Yeah. I think this is pretty playable, right? Like, if you squint, this is actually just, that, elaborate distraction card that just came out, right? If you squint, they're kind of the same card. You have to pay 1 less, and it's not an additional action. Yeah, I think it's super playable. I like it. I think it's a cool card. I like the restriction, too. Do you get damage? This will provoke attacks of opportunity, yes. It will provoke attacks of opportunity. Hey, we've seen the Gianni brothers, but what about the Giancarlo brothers? 3 cost, 3 experience. Takes up the ally slot, soaks for 3 and 2. Ally criminal, you get +1 fist. Forced. If the Giancarlo brothers is discarded as, or there's a, just so you know, there's a spelling error. As long as you don't point them out, but we gotta get there. You get the name. We gotta respect the Giancarlo brothers, right? If the Giancarlo brothers are discarded as a result of playing another ally asset from your hand, return it to your hand at the end of the round. After an enemy enters a location or you become engaged with an enemy, exhaust the Giancarlo brothers and deal them 1 damage. Deal 1 damage to that enemy. Okay, I like this, because it kind of sits in the same area with this mobster thing, which I think is a really cool archetype that you have created here. I think it's really neat. But they're different, because they actually live in their soak, which I think is a lot more interesting, and I think is a bigger use case for my example of why the other ones shouldn't soak, because these guys do. I like this card. I think it's really cool. I like the puzzle of returning them to your hand. This is a cool card. This whole archetype, I think, is really sweet. Alright, the Cold M1911s. This is a 4-cost, 4 experience, takes up 2 hand slots, item, weapon, firearm, illicit. This MFer is fast. Uses 6 ammo. As an action, spend on ammo fight, you get +2 fists and deal +1 damage to the attack. Lightning Bolt, spend 2 resources, return the Colt M1911s to your hand. Holy hell. Yeah, this is a nice card, very powerful. 4 experience is a lot, takes up 2 hand slots. I love guns that you can reload, sorry. However, with all this said, it really puts into perspective how good the level 0 Tesla gun is in the Guardian class. I understand that they are different, but it really puts it into perspective just how good it is. But I really like this card. I think this card's pretty sick. The family, they're all here. All of them. 6 cost, 5 experience. They commit for every icon, which I think is very clever. Takes up the ally slot, soaks for 3 and 3, ally and criminal. You get +1 brain, +1 book, and +1 fist. If the family is discarded as a result of playing another ally asset from your hand, return it to your hand at the end of the round. As a reaction, After the family enters play, discover 2 clues to your location, deal 2 damage to an enemy location or connecting location, and draw 2 cards. Honestly, I think this is a fantastic one of payoff to this whole archetype. This seems like a really fun archetype to play. I'm very excited by it. I'm very impressed by it, and I kind of want to play it. This is super expensive, sorry. But, man, I think that's worth it. I think you only need to play this guy like once or twice. You get some soak on him. I love it. I love this whole archetype. The theme is great, yeah. All right, on to the Mystic cards. Crystal of Power. This is a 1-cost item relic asset that takes up the Arcane slot. Uses 5 charges. If Crystal Power has no charges, discard it. Lightning Bolt. Spend 1 charge and exhaust Crystal Power. Draw 1 card, then choose and discard a card from your hand. When Crystal Power leaves play, lose all of your resources, then gain 3 resources. Whoa! Okay! My only complaint is that commits for all icons, but only gives a boost to 3. That's because you are the foot icon. You're part of the family now, brother. Alright. I was going to say I think this card is, like, really powerful. And I was like, it seems pretty good for 1 resource, but I love that force effect. Like, that's really fun to play around, right? It's a downside if it happens at the wrong time. But it's also, like, upside. I think it's this is a really cool card. Could this cost 2? I think it could still cost 2. I also think that this should probably be, no, this is fine. Never mind, scratch that. Great for Dragon Pull. Very good for Dragon Pull. I love it. I think this card's really cool. I think this is a neat card. Going back again to the Mystic. She cared about, oh, no, it was him. She is the survivor. Cared about having cards leave play. So we're going to see a lot of that here, I think. Symphony of Blood. This is a 1-cost ritual asset that takes up your Arcane slot. Uses 4 charges. If Symphony of Blood has no charges, discard it. After a symbol is revealed during a test of your location, spend 1 charge, gain 1 resource. When it leaves play, discard all cards in your hand, then draw 3 cards. This is really, really interesting. I think that this is a really cool idea for these cards. These ones I think are very inspired, and they make me go, wow. I know it would probably be pretty unplayable if it was forced, but I would love to see forced on this, you know? I love them. I like these 2 cards quite a bit. They're really cool. Oh, shit. Oh, I do not want to wear this. Jewel of the Outer Gods. This is a unique 2-cost item relic asset that takes up the accessory slot. It soaks for 2 damage. Lightning Bolt. Exhaust Jewel of the Outer Gods. Choose an investigator at your location. That investigator gets +1 skill value for the next skill test this round. So it's just giving you +1 for 1 test. When it leaves play, choose an investigator. That investigator gets +1 skill value for the next skill test they perform during this round. I don't know why, but these are just, I think, so good. This is such a cool archetype. Because, like, Mystic has so many of these things that care about things leaving play. I'm pissed that this isn't in the actual game. Like, I'm actually upset. I would love to play this with the servitor. This is really cool. I'm blown away, honestly, by these 3 cards. It's so neat. All right, Master of Secrets. 4-cost, Ally Witch takes up the ally slot. You get +1 Brain. Soaks for 1 and 2. I read that in the worst way possible. I'm sorry. You get +1 Brain. Let's go again. You know, let's take it from the top. Let's run it back. Master of Secrets. This is a 4-cost Ally Witch asset that takes up the ally slot and soaks for 1 and 2. You get +1 Brain. As a reaction, after you put an asset that takes up an arcane slot into play, or an asset that takes up an arcane slot that leaves play, exhaust Master of Secrets, draw a card. Wow. 1, an ally that gives you +1 brain. That's incredible. 2, super playable even outside of this archetype. This is an incredible card. Costs 4, so it's entirely fair. I am, like, honestly floored by these Mystic cards. These are exciting. These are cool. I love them. I think they probably need to be play tested to, like, see how they work, but I do think that the concept for them is really neat. I love it. I'm so... Alright, let's keep going. Chrono Walk. Okay. This is a 0-cost spell paradox event. Commits for 2 foot, by the way. That's interesting. Fast. Play when not only enemy would move during the enemy phase. Cancel that movement and you may move to a connecting location. I think this should cost 1. It's very comparable to dodge. I just think this should cost 1. But yeah, this is basically a Mystic dodge, right? Probably should cost 1. Cool as hell, though. I like it. I think that's really neat. Oh, God, this guy scared me. Called to Serve. This is a 1-cost spell event. Search the encounter discard pile for a non-elite enemy and spawn it at your location. Attach this card to that enemy. When the attached enemy is defeated, discover 2 clues at your location. Interesting. So, it's kind of like kicking the hornet's nest. It's kind of like, Call the Unknown? What's the card? Why am I blanking on that one card? Drawn to the Flame. There we go. We got there. Brain just needed a little bit of time to get the, had to, like... I'm 35, so I'm at my peak efficiency, and, like, the little robot inside of my head was taking a little bit long to look through the file folders. But meant more for, like, combat. I would love this in, like Guardian Mystics, right? I think that's really sick. I think this card definitely would have a home. I think it's really neat. I'm into it. Honestly, I like all these Mystic cards so far. Inscription of Power. This is a 1-cost ritual event. Play only if there's a clue your location attached to your location. Attached location gets +2 Shroud. Each non-elite enemy attached location gets -2 Fight and -2 Evade. After commanded clues from attached location, discard Inscription of Power. What the frick? Okay. I see. It's an elaborate combo. I do agree that the rate's probably a little bit slow, but I think if it's okay because it's kind of like you're kind of just like getting stuff done in other ways. Obscuring Fog that hotboxes the enemy. That is incredible. I'm into it. It's like you can see the combo between these two cards. I also like that there's a bit of synergy with that, some of the Seeker stuff that came here too. So like Luke Robinson is going to be eating well again, as he often is. Who's the Seeker Mystic? Daisy. Daisy could also play with these two. What the fog made out of? You don't want to know, brother. You do not want to know. I dig it. I think it's really cool. Soul Extraction. Yeah, you're telling me. This is a 1-cost spell event. Fast. Play after you defeat an enemy. Search the encounter deck for an exact copy of the just defeated enemy and discard it. Shuffle the encounter deck. What the... Okay, it's all starting to make sense. I think it's only for assets. I think the guy only cared about assets. Yeah, maybe he just said Mystic card. Here, I'll check. Sorry, one second. I just have to hide this so I don't accidentally open up that folder. After an asset. Yeah, so this guy's just assets. But it's all coming together, right? Like, you do this... You drop this, you play this. Yes, it's a 3-card combo, but you essentially, like, this Soul Extraction is so much like, to make up for the tempo you lost here, right? Or the tempo that neutralized here. Give me this for the Mindless Dancers too? Yes, please. Kill 1, get rid of 2. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I think it's very interesting. Could it be, like, is this, like, an effect that might be worth more experience? Potentially. I would want to play with this card a bit to see, right? Like, to see how good an effect like this is at 0. Because it could be a little bit risky. I'd have to give it a shot. I like the idea, but I need to see it in practice before I really commit to saying yes or no for if this is good at level 0. But it's such a unique effect. Like, I'm kind of comparing it to Binder's Jar, but not really, because it can get reshuffled. Wait, Mystic cards do not have to be boring? It's the problem with the box format. But I do think that Hemlock Veil did a good job. Even I think Scarlet Keys did a pretty good job at tweaking it a little bit. I think Mystic cards have been getting more interesting. Song of the Night. This is a 1-cost spell event. Fast. Play when you reveal a non-auto-fail symbol during a skill test. Cancel that token and treat it as a skull token instead. If this test is successful, take 1 direct horror. If you fail, draw 3 cards. Did somebody say skull token? You guys know what that means, right? You guys know what that means. Do you know what that means, chat? Let me tell you. Let me tell you what that means. It's Jim. He's here! Yeah, then fail for 3 cards. Hell yeah. I mean, the fail for 3 cards is also really interesting. I think this is a really cool card. I think, yeah, because there's a use case for both halves, right? Using this as like a turn a bless token into a take card, or like turn a curse token or a bless token or like a squid token into a gym trigger. I like it. Tap into your soul. Innate skill commits for a book, a fist, and a foot. All right, innate skill for Silas. Commit only to a skill test you're performing as part of a basic action, max 1 committed per skill test. If this skill test is successful, immediately take the same type of basic action and take 1 horror. Oh, okay, cool. I'd probably only play this in Peter Silas, but this works really well with stuff like Brute Force and stuff. I think this is a neat card. Change to -5. Oh yeah, no. Oh, it's a non-symbol. Yeah, it's just no. It has to be a symbol. You can't do a -5 for Song of the Night. Because it has to be a non-auto-fail symbol. Should probably say symbol token as well. Yeah, I think this is fine. Don't know where I'd want to use it too much, but I think honestly, to have just a fine card is really good after all these banging Mystic cards we just saw. Alright, Blessing of the Ancients. This is a skill, a spell, skill. It's a skill and it's a spell. If you commit Blessings of Ancients to a skill test on an asset you control, after the test ends, attach Blessing of the Ancient to that asset. After Blessing of the Ancient leaves play, draw 2 cards. Honestly, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I think you need to be in the archetype to make this like really pop, but I'm thinking that this one's just golden. I'm super into it. I'm down for this. I think it's really neat. I think you're only playing this in the deck that like wants to be doing stuff or is like using sacrifice or things like that. But I dig it. I think this is a really nice part to put a little cap on the this archetype in ways that aren't synergizing directly with what we've seen, but still very good. All right. Don't think you need to be in the archetype. No resource fast draw 2 is good on its own. I mean, like, you need to have an asset that you attach it to, right? And, like, I think you want to have a bit more control. Like, you could just, like, use it to, like, you're just cycling your spells. But I think you want to have, like, some sort of synergy with it to make sure that you trigger it more consistently than just by playing a card. Right? Like, I think I would want to do that. Oh yeah, you could also do it outside of spells. Put this on old keyring. Woo! Yeah, okay, we're cooking. You're cooking. I'll concede. That's... Put this on your old keyring. Oh, boy! Oh, shit, let's go. Okay, the Black Disc. This is a 2-cost, 1 experience item relic asset that takes up the hand slot. After the Black Disc enters play, attach the top 4 cards of your deck face down to the Black Disc. When it leaves play, return all cards that were attached to it to your hand. Oh my! That's interesting! That's a Magic the Gathering art, by the way. I'm into this. I'm into this too. Man, these Mystic cards have been a banging. They have, honestly, I thought the Rogue cards were good, but these Mystic cards came out fucking swinging. Yeah, I'm into this. I'm into it. Great card. I'm super intrigued by it. I think it's really sick. I'm into it. All right, Occult Mirror. That's what I see when I look in the mirror. Visions of the Future. This is a 3-cost, 1 experience item charm asset that takes up the accessory slot. Soaks for 3 horror. You get +1 brain. After you commit a card to a skill test, exhaust Occult Mirror and deal 1 horror to it. That card gains another instance of one of its skill icons of your choice. I mean, like, it's not incredibly good, but you like it in, like, the skill mystics, right? I feel like it could probably cost 2, right? Like, I feel like 3 is a little bit too much for this. I know it compares to, like, the Grizzly Totems, but, like, we're going to compare this to the level 0 Grizzly Totem because that's kind of what it is. So, like, the 1 extra experience reduces the cost. I don't know. Maybe not. I just think 3's a bit too much for this, you know? I don't think I'd want to play 3 for this. I like it, though. I like it. Hellflame. This is a 3-cost, 2 experience spell. Takes up the arcane slot. Uses 8 charges. Remove 1 charge from Hellflame at the end of the round. If Hellflame has no charges, discard it. After you become engaged with an enemy, spend... so this is a reaction. After you become engaged with an enemy, spend 1 charge, deal 1 damage to that enemy. Force. After Hellflame leaves play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card and draw it. Shuffle your deck. I'm in. Sign me up. I'm in. This is so neat. Like, this is really fucking cool. I'm so hyped on these Mystic cards, man. Something good for Amina? Hell yeah. I'm down for this. This is such a neat card. I like it. I like how slowly the flame burns out over time, but the flame also burns out on enemies. I'm just so into this. I'm into it. Great for frickin' swarming enemies. Burn, spiders, burn. Ah, hell yeah. Guiding Voices. This is a 2 experience innate spell skill. Commits for 2 wilds. Commit only to a skill test printed on an asset you control. Max 1 committed per skill test. If this test is successful, immediately activate an action ability on an asset you control without paying any of its cost, including its action cost. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. 2 experience and an unexpected courage that gives you an action. I'm down for it. Did someone say sledgehammer? You know it. Two swings from the sledge? Who's our, So who could do that? Sister Mary can do it? And, Agnes can do it, and Patrice can do it. But yeah, Agnes can do it. No, Agnes can't. Agnes can do the lower version. This would be great with Sister Mary, though, right? I think it'd be really fun there. I'm down. Sign me up. That sounds like a really fun deck to try. Diana? Diana can do it. Yes, Diana. No. Well, she can do the small one. We're looking for the big one, right? When we want to do that, we're looking for that big, juicy one for that. Hit for 3. Do the triple action. Do the triple action again. Oh, that would feel pretty fucking good. That would feel great. Silas? Oh my god, you are right. Silas could also do it. Silas fails, you bring it back to your hand? Okay. Okay. I'm in. Yes, I would like to take 1, please. Alright. Next up, Gift from the Gods. That was the last card when we just realized Silas could do it. 3 cost, 3 experience, takes up the arcane slot, Augury. Uses 3 charges. If Gift from the Gods has no charges, discard it. As a reaction, when you reveal a chaos token, spend 1 charge. Treat that token as a skull instead. Yeah, Lilychen can also do it, yeah. Nope, Lilychen can't. Lilychen can't. Just because she can't do the mystic spells. Alright, let's do this again. Gift has no charges, discard it. When you reveal chaos token, spend 1 charge, treat that token as a skull instead. After release play, deal 1 damage to all enemies in each other investigator location. That flavor text, they have finally answered my call, Jim Culver. Finally. They've done it. Yeah. I understand why it's 3 experience. Because, I mean, this essentially reads past 3 tests. Even in most other investigators, this essentially reads like past 3 tests. Like, most of them can, like, if you know what token you're drawing, that's very powerful. I like this when they leave, they do something positive, though. Really cool shit there. Really cool shit. Dancing Flames. This is a 3 cost ritual asset that takes up the arcane slot. Limit 1 per investigator. Lightning Bolt during a skill test on a treachery card. Exhaust Dancing Flames. You get +1 skill value for this test. If you succeed, place 1 resource on Dancing Flames as a flame. When Dancing Flames leaves play, for each flame that was on it, gain 1 resource or draw a card. Oh my! Very interesting, huh? During a skill test on a treachery card, exhaust Dancing Flames. You get +1 skill value for this test if you succeed. When it leaves play, for each flame that was on it, gain a resource or draw a card. So this is the kind of design that Travis often, whenever we're speaking, like usually outside of a video, that a card like this is cool because it doesn't immediately have a payoff. You need to find a payoff, but the payoff is really good, right? Like, you sacrifice this card and it's so much value. You play another arcane ass slot into this, it's so much value, right? And you're also just getting passive value from it. I think the design on this card is really tight. I'd be curious to see if you could alter the cost, but I think 3 is a pretty standard place for Mystic assets like this, but still, really nice. Tarot Master. 5 cost, 4 experience, takes up the ally slot, soaks for 1 and 3, and it's an ally and a witch. She is the envoy of the end. You get +1 brain and +1 book. Already a good start. Lightning Bolt. Exhaust Tarot Master and discard an asset you control, discover a clue your location. Oh. While an asset you control leaves play, exhaust Tarot Master, deal 2 damage to an enemy at your location. Oh. So here's our, like, top line payoff for all this stuff. No synergy with tarot cards, except for the fact that she is holding the moon, whatever the mystic one is in Death 13. What's the mystic one? Moon's the rogue one. 4 of Cups. She's holding 4 of Cups in Death 13. So that's the synergy with tarots. I mean, you also can discard tarots to play other tarots if you want to do that for some reason. but I'm in it. I think this is a cool payoff for the archetype, for sure. Inferno. Oh, shit. This is a 3-cost spell event. Deal 3 damage to all enemies in play and 2 damage to each other investigator regardless of their location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Hey, we combined Storm of Spirits and Dynamite and put it everywhere. This is a very powerful card that I would definitely run as a one-of in a lot of my mystics. And I'd be like, are you all ready to burn? Because it's Inferno time, baby! And then everybody burns. I'm into it. Cool card. Alright, we have a 5 experience event, 4 cost, spell, Divine Guidance. Commits for 2 brain. As an additional cost to play Divine Guidance, you must discard all assets you control. Okay. For each asset discarded this way, search your hand deck and discard pile for an asset that takes up the same slot but with a different name and put into play without paying any of its cost. Remove Divine Guidance from the game. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. It's incredible. I'm in. It's incredible. It's great. I love it. It's a great payoff to everything. It's super fun. It's super splashy. It's super mystic. It's super powerful. And it's a great capstone for this awesome archetype we've seen in these Mystic cards. These Mystic cards are honestly some of my favorite I've seen. They're really cool and very interesting. All right. Now we get to the one that I'm the most picky about. So hopefully I have that same energy for the Mystic cards, but me and Survivors, we go way back. We go way back. All right. Somnolent Talisman. This is a 1-cost item relic asset that takes up the hand slot. Fast. When an investigator location reveals a non-auto-fail chaos token during the Mythos phase, discard Somnolent Talisman. Treat that token as a 0 instead. Okay. So we have to look at this card outside of the context of Will Yorick, because Will Yorick fricks things up. This is essentially a Ward of Protection that takes up a hand slot. It's a Ward of Protection 2 that takes up a hand slot. I think this probably should cost XP. This probably at level 0 should only affect you. Yeah, probably. I think that it should either cost like more, like 3. It should probably be 3 if it's going to affect everybody. If it's going to be 1, it should probably only affect you. I like the design, I like the concept, because it is just like a Ward of Protection. But I think it's a bit good as it is, because it is essentially a level 2 Ward of Protection once you put it into play. You've got to hang out with people. Devil's Dice. Is that Tybalt I see? So this is a 1-cost item illicit asset that takes up the accessory slot. As a reaction, when you draw a non-weakness encounter card, exhaust Devil's Dice and reveal a random chaos token from the chaos bag. If it is a non-symbol chaos token, cancel effects that cards, shuffle into the encounter deck, then draw another card from the top of the encounter deck. Okay, so this is essentially a worse version of the tarot card that does the same thing. And I think that tarot card is pretty playable. I like that this is random. I'm down. I think it's fine. I think it's a cool card. I would try it out for sure. I think that the accessory slot in Survivor is generally like pretty swappable depending on what you want to be doing. And I think there's probably investigators who would want this card. I'd probably try it in Silas for sure. All right. The Cursed Goblet. This is a 3-cost item relic asset. As a reaction, after you discard Cursed Goblet from your hand, you may play Cursed Goblet from your hand without paying its cost. That's really good. Lightning Bolt. During a skill test while investigating, exhaust Cursed Goblet. You get +1 skill value for the skill test. Okay, yeah, this probably is too good. Yes. It's very good in Ashcan, very good in Wendy, very good in the Investigator in the box. But also pretty good with all other survivors. It has no skill icons, so it kind of just sits there, so I think that is pretty nice. I don't know what I would do to it, though, right? I feel like if you take up a hand slot, that kind of defeats the purpose. What if we just remove the no-cost part? Probably, yeah. If you just remove the no-cost, then yes. It's probably totally fine at 0. I like it. I just think it's a little bit spicy for sure. This feels like a blessed goblet. Yeah, it does feel more blessed. I understand like the art definitely gives a more cursed vibe, but let's just call it like Hades Gauntlet. So Hades Goblet, sorry. Wow. We love Hades. Oh, Hades Goblet? You play from your discard pile? Let's go, we're cooking. Alright, Sudden Insight. This is a 2-cost, a talent asset, uses 4 secrets. As a reaction, when you initiate an investigate action, exhaust Sudden Insight and spend 1 secret. Discard the top card of your deck. You get +X skill value for this skill test, where X is the printing cost of the discarded card. That's a weird shape for a vape. I like it. I think it's neat. I think this card just outclasses it, though. Again, there's a lot of slotless effects that care about investigating. It's a little bit dangerous, I think. It is random, though. I do like the graveyard synergies that will come up with it. But to kind of go back to what Beard was saying earlier, I understand like a card like this doesn't fit with a slot, but like effects that are slotless are pretty good. I like the card though, but I feel like it's just like a worse version of this, to be honest. I'd rather have this all the time than that. Alright, Clumsy Epiphany. This is a 0-cost fortune event. Sorry, Rex. Fast. Play after you discover a clue. Choose a discarded card from your hand, then discover 1 clue from your location. Yep. This is essentially a survivor working a hunch, right? What I like about this, though, is that it's a very easy card to bring in discard synergy to survivors who otherwise would not have it. So, I'm down. I'm down. I think it's pretty good. Neat card. Thrifty Find. I have to sneeze. Whew. Alright, Thrifty Find. 0-cost event. It's a fortune. Gain 2 resources. 3 resources instead if you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand. If Thrifty Find is discarded from your hand during your turn, play it. This is so good in Wendy. I don't think it's... I mean, Wendy also has rogue cards. It's good in Ash Campete. I don't know, it seems pretty good, but at the same time, it's also just like 2 resources. Like, it's also just like 2 resources, right? Which is good, but it's like a card for 2 resources? Yeah, maybe it's less good than I initially thought. Like, you let the kind of... You let the dust settle. And you're like, yeah, it's like a cryptic writing. It's like, there's going to be hopes for it, but it's not so much... everybody. So yeah. Alright. What's next? Dim Glow. This is a 2-cost tactic event. Attach your location. Attach location gets -1 shroud. Forced. After an enemy enters attached location, discard Dim Glow, discover 1 clue at attached location. That's neat. That's really neat. I really like it. I think the flavor on this card is also really nice. Where just like you see the enemy and you're like, oh my god, I've discovered something new, but then like you turn off your light because the enemy's like too scary. I think it's a cool card, for sure. Alright, Lunacy. This is a 2-cost Insight Fortune event. Fast, play after you fail a skill test on a treachery card. Discover 2 clues to your location, remove Lunacy from the game. Okay. Yeah. Look what I found. But, like, anyone can play it. Honestly, this card's super playable. I think most survivors would play it. Probably a bit too good. I do like that it removes itself from the game. Maybe a bit too good. Probably. Maybe should be like 3 cost, I think, just to balance out like the no threshold for look what I found. To be honest, though, I think if we saw look what I found today, we'd say that's probably also a bit too good. Yeah. I think I'd want to try it at 2. I think I'd want to try it as printed. Alright. Gambler's Resolve. This is an illicit gambit skill. Max 1 committed per skill test, commits for a foot and a wild. If this test is successful, gain 2 resources and discard the top card of your deck. If you fail, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. Okay. I'm in it. It's kind of like a Burning the Midnight Oil in Survivor. Yeah, it's fine. I think it's fine. For sure. Whispering Lullaby. This is an innate skill. Commits for a wild. Max 1 committed for skill test. If you have no resources in your resource pool, Whispering Lullaby turns into a promise of power. Gets 3 wild icons. Yeah. I think it's like nice for Dark Horse decks to get over the bump that sometimes exists with that one. They have a lot of tools though. I think it's neat, for sure. There's not much to say about this one, to be honest. Alright, let's get to some experience cards. We have Ashes to Ashes. This is a 3 cost, 1 experience ritual asset that takes up the arcane slot. As a reaction, when an enemy spawns your location, exhaust Ashes to Ashes and discard 1 card from your hand. Deal 1 damage to that enemy. That's a good card. I'd play that in a lot of investigators. It's a good way to get over the awkward 3 health bump, right? Trading a card for an action is a pretty good rate. Yeah, I dig it. I think it's super sick. That's a very dangerous ritual to pull out, I'll tell you that much right now. You know, lighting a whole forest on fire, but still pretty good. Flames of Cthugha. This is a 1 experience spell skill that commits for a brain, a foot, and a wild. Max 1 committed per skill test. If the skill test is on a treachery and the test is successful, deal 1 damage to any enemy in play. If you fail, lose 1 action. Cool card. I dig it. I think this is sweet. I'd play this card in a lot of, I'd play this card in like Wendy in a heartbeat, right? Cool card. I'm into it. I'm super into it. Alright, next up we got Torch and Spirits. This is a 2 cost, 2 experience illicit asset. Uses 3 supplies. If Torch and Spirits has no supplies, discard it. As a reaction, when you initiate a non-foot test, exhaust Torch and Spirits and spend 1 supply. This test becomes a foot test instead of the skill indicated. If you fail, choose and discard a card from your hand. So this one's very similar to that Cursed Altar we saw earlier, right? It's very similar to that one. I think it's less good in Survivor, though. I don't know where I'd want to play this. Like in Rita? The problem is I think Survivors just have better ways to deal with these kind of effects just through, like, mitigation, right? Yeah. I don't know. This one doesn't really move much for me. I think the Cursed Altar was more interesting and also better. I don't know what's happening. I'm having like an allergic reaction or something. My nose is suddenly stuffed. I'm so sorry. Alright, next up. Blood for Blood. This is a 2 cost, 2 experience spell event. Fast play when you take any amount of damage. Deal damage to an enemy at a location. If the enemy is defeated by this effect, heal 2 horror. I'm down. I'm down. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty cool effect. I would love to play this at Daniela. Okay. Blood Eclipse Carolyn. Oh, astute. Are you cooking? That's a nice idea. Haha. Yeah, that's pretty sick. I'm kind of down for that. That's kind of sick. All right, cool. Yeah, no, that's neat. I think this is a cool card. Again, I think there's a lot of uses for it. Tommy also, like, there's a ton of cool stuff here. Okay. Eternal Blaze. What's this Dark Souls art that we got on this card for sure? So this is a 3-cost, 2-experience event. It's a spirit. Fast. Play after you evade an enemy or discard cards from your hand. Deal 2 damage to an enemy or location. Then you may discard 1 card from your hand to deal 2 damage to a different enemy or location. Yeah. I think it's a pretty powerful effect. I think that this is a little bit Magical Christmas Land. But, like, this goes hard in Forgotten Age, right? Like, this goes really hard in Forgotten Age. Like, you bring this into Depths of Yoth, and you've just, like, increased your winning rate probably by, like, a full percentage point or 2, right? I like it. I think the card's really cool. I like this kind of, like, fire theme, this Cthulhu fire theme that we see going on for Survivors. I wonder if that's part of the lore for the character, too. Hello, Justin. Are you done the Circle and Done Gauntlet yet? No, I have not started it. I'll be starting it maybe on Tuesday. Burning Intuition. Yeah, more fire. Let's go. We're definitely doing a... There's maybe the backstory for the Survivor has Cthulhu in there. So this is an innate spell skill, 2 experience, commits for 3 books, max 1 committed per skill test. If this skill test is successful while investing in a location, you may discard 1 card from your hand, discover an additional clue at that location. Or is this a cycle? No. Okay. I was gonna say because this seems like a brute force style cycle. Yeah, I think this card's fine. I think you need some synergy for what you discard. I think I'd rather play Sharp Vision over this most of the time. But I mean, like, also if I was like a secret, like the Clue Getter, I'd probably just run this and Sharp Vision for sure. This looks bad next to Sharp Vision. I mean, not if you have synergy that cares about discarding cards, right? Like this is like a combo piece that you can like have cards that care about being discarded, then it goes up in value, right? This is way more icons than Sharp Vision. Isn't it the same amount of icons of Sharp Vision, or am I going crazy? Is this some sort of clever joke? Because if it's a clever joke, that's pretty funny. Yeah, you can also do this on like a non-basic investigate too, which is where like you can kind of like beat that Sharp Vision stuff too. Fiona O'Leary is a 3-cost, 3 experience ally witch asset that takes up the ally slot. She soaks for 1 and 3 and is a lightning bolt. Exhaust Fiona O'Leary and discard a card from your hand. Resolve one of the following effects based on the type of card discarded. Asset, heal 1 damage and 1 horror. Event, deal 2 damage to enemy or location. Skill, discover 1 clue at your location. That's really good. I would love to play with this card. Yeah, I think this card's really cool. I think it's very playable, too. It's very good. It's very good. Probably too good, but it is 3 experience, and you gotta do it once a turn, and it costs you a card from your hand. You're basically turning your card into a heal spell, a working a hunch, or a... This probably could be 4 experience, to be honest. It probably could. But this card really intrigues me. This is a card I would love to play with. Yeah, a card like this would do so much for the discard from hand archetype. I agree. This would be like the empty hand archetype. This is like, we need a card like this. This card's also like, so the thing is, I think most of the designs that that Filip has here is that they're all very basic, and I can actually see them in the actual game. Could be 5 XP. I don't think so. I think 4 is probably fine. I think 5 XP Survivor cards should be few and far between, personally. All right. Tenacious Resolve. This is a level 3 innate skill, commits for 2 wilds. Max 1 committed per skill test. While Tenacious Resolve in your discard pile, if you get another card from your discard pile to your hand, return Tenacious Resolve to your hand max once per round. Okay. What an interesting design, huh? So this is very similar to Persistence, right? In the sense that it's a recurrable skill that you can play again and again and again. It triggers on Resourceful. Is that it? What else adds a card from your discard pile to your hand? I know a lot of cards can like play from your discard pile. It's interesting though. I mean, there's the upgraded Grizzled does it too, right? Scavenging? Oh yeah, of course. Scavenging. Duh. Scrounge for supplies. Web, yeah. Just like the obvious stuff. Yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. Okay, it's probably too good now. With Scavenging, it's probably too good. I forgot about Scavenging. I haven't played it in forever because the card's just like boring as hell. They made a 3 XP to keep it out of Min's hands. Probably a good thing. Min already has Persistence, which is like just like as good as this, I think. Persistence and Min is kind of nutty. I've been watching Eric do some crazy stuff with it. Yeah, I think this card's too powerful with Scavenging. I think without Scavenging, it's interesting. With Scavenging, you shouldn't be able to scavenge back a skill card. That's kind of insane. Is it that good? Plenty of lower cost cards give an unexpected courage? Yeah, it's that good. Recursion is a very powerful thing, right? Most of those other cards that give you an unexpected courage are usually limited or cost more experience. And I think this is just probably a bit too good. Never, especially also like, if you look at it on the inverse, right, what this card also does is now when you scavenge, you can discard it each turn to discover a clue your location, right? Then you scavenge again, you discover an additional clue your location. The ability to recur goes beyond just the card, right? Like, recursion goes beyond just the effects of the card. We look at like everything that the card can do if you keep returning it to your hand, right? So yeah. No thank you. I think this card's just a little bit too scary. It wasn't scary until like Scavenging, until I remembered that broken ass card. But unfortunately, broken ass cards can break powerful cards, and I think this card is powerful, and then a powerful card can become broken with Scavenging. Crossbow. Oh, all right. Sign me up. I'm into this. This is a 4 cost, 4 experience, item, weapon, ranged asset that takes up both hand slots. Uses 2 ammo. Spend 1 ammo, fight. Add your foot to your skill value for this attack. This attack deals +2 damage. I like this because it works in like the similar box to what we've seen in other ranged sort of weapons. And as an action, discard 2 cards from your hand, place 2 ammo on crossbow. Sign me up. Card's cool. I think it's neat. I don't think I'd play with it all the time, but I think this fits very well into the survivor world of their weapons being a little bit fricked up. You know? They're a little bit funky. I think it's a cool card, though, for sure. Phoenix's Ascendance, Inferno's Wrath. This is a 5 experience, blazing asset. Oh, it's double-sided. Okay. Permanent. You begin the game with Phoenix's Ascendance, blazing side face up. As a lightning bolt, exhaust Phoenix's Ascendance and discard 2 cards from your hand. Deal 2 damage to an enemy or location or discover a clue your location. At the end of the round, flip this asset over. Permanent. You begin the game with Phoenix's Ascendance, blazing side face up. This is extinguished. After the round ends, if you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, flip this asset over to its blazing side. That's neat. Yeah, I'm down. Puts more context into the the cryptic writing, but when you discard, you play it card as well. I think that the designer here did a really good job of expanding on the no cards in hand archetype. I think that this could be a really good thing, and I'm hoping we get to see some actual official stuff expanding that archetype as well. All right, we have some neutral cards to talk about. How many do we have? 1 second. I'm just going to see just so I get some context. So we have there's a good chunk, and then we have some basic weaknesses. Okay. Okay. I mean, some people often tell me they love a good 3-hour-long video, so buckle up. It's a 3-hour-long video, baby. Forgotten Map. This is a 3-cost neutral asset, item relic. As an action, exhaust Forgotten Map and another asset you control, draw 2 cards. Discard Forgotten Map as an action, move to a reveal location with no enemies. I like that top action a lot. That's really interesting, isn't it? Like, it's a good effect, right? It's like action positive, but like you wouldn't want to do it too many times. If you do it too many times, like, I mean, you can get an asset that doesn't care about exhausting. That's very easy, right? Like, just like an ally, right? But how many draw actions do you need to take to win the game? And the answer is like 14 less than you think. I dig it. I think this is a nice, neat little neutral card. It could maybe cost more, but... Or like maybe like... I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I wouldn't play it too much. I'd play it in like Forgotten Age, like you said, to tech some stuff. Temporal Loop. That's cool art and terrifying as hell. 3 costs, spell event, fast play during an investigator's turn. That investigator may take an additional action this turn. Shuffle Temporal Loop back into your deck instead of discarding it. I don't know if this is a neutral card. I don't know if this is a neutral card. I like the flavor of it a lot. I just don't know how much it feels neutral to me. Like, Bide Your Time feels neutral because it's benefiting you, but this can benefit anybody. Yeah, I'm not sold on this one. Cigar Break. I'm sold on this one already. This is an innate skill. Commit only to a skill test you're performing. If the skill test is successful, heal 1 damage. I love it. Is there a horror one? Yep. Enduring Spirit. That's cool. So Brain Fist for Cigar Break. Book Foot for Enduring Spirit. I like it. These are cool cards that I would run when I am given Edge of the Earth weaknesses. Right? Like, I would run like one of each of them if I was being serious about wanting to combat that, and if I don't get one, I would just turn them into something else. They're really good level 0 cards, I think. Scholarly Pursuit. This is a 2-cost, 2 experience talent asset. You get +1 book. Force. At the end of the phase, you must either pay 1 resource or discard Scholarly Pursuit. When it leaves play, gain 3 resources. Okay. Are there ones for other? Oopsie. But you have weaknesses after deck building? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I run one of each of them, and then I just side them out. If I'm being serious about it. Are there other ones? No. I would rather there also be a fist one. I don't think this one's that. I don't think this one's that good. I think it's a little bit too... Because this is a secret card. This doesn't live in other classes. This is a secret card, I think. Arcane Knowledge. This is a 2-cost, 4 experience. Insight event, draw 3 cards. You may play a card from your hand, reducing its cost by 3. Yep, I think this is fine. I think this can live in like all worlds. It's pretty expensive. I don't think people like will go that far out of their way to buy it. It kind of lives in the one that already exists, Cryptic Research, because it kind of does the same sort of thing. Yeah, I think honestly, Most of these neutrals I think could like take or leave. Like Forgotten Map's cool, and these two are cool, but I think the other ones have not really like struck in the same way for me. All right, we got 4 basic weaknesses. We got Codependent. Revelation, take 2 damage. If there are no enemies and other investigators at your location, take 2 direct damage instead. Anoclophobia, take 2 direct damage. If there are no enemies and other investigators at your location, take 2 damage instead. Madness Unleashed, take 2 direct horror. If you have defeated enemies around, they take 2 horror instead. PTSD, take 2 horror. If you defeated an enemy this round, take 2 direct horror instead. That's kind of neat. I like it. I like the risk of a weakness, like a basic weakness that just like drops a little tiny little nuke on you. They're actually kind of can be scary, right? Really sucks if you're like Wendy Adams and you get 2 of these ones. You know, like, and you're like, oh shit, I got 4 horror coming at me for my weaknesses. But I think I like them because they're kind of scary. I like that they can switch. Okay, well, that's this set of player cards. Mystic and Rogue are the winners. These were inspired. The Mystic ones were crazy good. I loved the Mystic cards for this. There was so much good stuff here. Like, I think like the Mystics was sweet were just freaking bangers. If I may give some polite feedback, I think that like the Guardians are probably the weakest and could be explored a bit more. And I think the Survivor ones also could be tightened a little bit. But I think that like the Seeker ones were cool, but the Rogue and Mystics were just incredible. They were just like the Rogue stuff was really cool. The Mystic stuff was poppin'. All right. Well, with that, that is the end of this episode. I hope you all enjoyed this. Again, if you have created your own custom content and you want me to check it out, please let me know. I'll gladly look through it. This is kind of stuff that I really love doing. I want a huge thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel and everyone who watches us on Twitch and YouTube. Thank you for your support. In the meantime, have a good one, and as always, a GG's.